Hello, all you awesome people out there. It is I, Travis Goss. I am back. After having such a prolonged hiatus, I am finally back on I Got Gameplay, and this is episode number 102. And I got a couple of really cool people on this week. Burhan can't make it, Burhan, we'll see you next time. And Xander Scully, not on this week, but again, we'll see him next time. But we got some other really cool people here. So first off, haven't spoken to this fine lady in a long time. I think the last time you and I spoke was just before I went on hiatus. She is the lovely, lovely Annina Kaski.
Hello, hello. It's nice to be back. I've had a bit of a hiatus as well.
Yeah, how you been doing?
I'm really good.
Awesome.
To my much disappointment, I haven't had much time. But for Christmas, we're getting the PS4.
Woo!
So joining the ranks of modern gamers again. Yay!
Yeah, as far as me joining the ranks of modern gamers, I have a Wii U.
Nice.
But it's still an awesome system. I love it. Yes.
I'm going to get it purely for Bayonetta 2.
I want to check that game out, and that game is it's gotten so many great reviews, and it's a game I've been wanting to play. What makes it even more awesome is it comes bundled with the first game.
Yes.
Oh.
So to me that's a seller right there. Even though I've already decided I want to play Bayonetta 2, but anyways, yeah, awesome. And to my virtual right, first time talking to this guy too. I guess I can. I mean, I can't say welcome to I Got Game Clip. Yeah, I can't even fucking talk. I can't really say welcome to I Got Gameplay because I'm assuming you've been on here before. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, I hope I'm not gonna. Yeah, you've been on here before. But anyways, and I'm sorry if I butcher your last name, so you may have to say it for me. It's Nick. Horacek?
Horacek. It's been
Horacek,
pronounced.
thank you.
Yeah, it's been pronounced many different ways. So, yeah, I'm
Horacek.
also
Gotcha.
one of the co-hosts on the weekly Slamcast with Brandon Ligon, Dave Wade, and Michael Burhan. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
All right, and how you been doing?
been good.
Excellent.
Yeah,
Excellent.
I did just pick up the HD GTA San Andreas on the 360.
How is that?
I'm enjoying it because that is actually my second favorite game of all time.
Yeah, I still got the PS2 version sitting on my shelf with my other games, and I came so close to finishing the game, but I had to. The one thing about San Andreas is you actually have to lock down certain areas before you
Gang
can finish
territory,
off the
yeah.
game. Gang
Yeah.
territories, thank you.
Yeah, you have to control
And
a
I came that
certain.
close, but I got so frustrating.
Hmm. It's a little annoying.
Yeah,
But
yeah, it's like what you have to control at least 35% of the gang territories before you can unlock the final mission.
yeah,
Oh god, I couldn't do that. I was like, forget it. I'll just come back to this another time. And it's been nearly 10 years.
damn. I have the Xbox version, so I don't have any of the ones that this wouldn't. Unless I somehow manage them on my system, I don't think I can get the hot coffee weirdo mini game that got the game. A ton of controversy, mostly from Mr. Jack Thompson, who can fuck off for all I care.
You
In
can
the
fall off the
traffic,
face of the earth. Yeah.
yeah, in front of a speeding semi on the interstate, preferably.
Hopefully, it's a tanker truck full of phosphoric acid.
Yeah, and just completely melt him off the face of the earth. Yeah.
Yeah, I would love to see that. But it's interesting that you mentioned that. The copy I got of San Andreas has the hot coffee mod on it.
Oh, nice. So it had to have been one of
Because
the early
after
ones.
I actually got the game a couple days after it was released,
Okay.
and I know at that time Take Two was trying to recall all the copies, and I was like, forget this. I know this what's on this disc. Hell, maybe someday in the future it's going to be worth something, so I'm just going to keep it. Well, I'm gonna keep it anyways because I'm a huge Grand Theft Auto fan.
Hmm.
But yeah, that's pretty interesting. But yeah, I'm glad that that came on the Xbox 360. Hopefully, they'll come around and release that for the PS3 or even
Hmm.
PS4 for that matter.
Yeah,
Um,
it was only
I mean,
about $3.74, so dirt cheap.
how can you argue with that? I mean, I know they got San Andreas on the PSN, but it's like the original game. But
Right?
an
No.
HD remake, yeah, come
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, it looks really good. Like everything just a lot more detailed on the hardware. Everything just looks clearer. It looks really good. I mean, they obviously haven't tampered with. I haven't really noticed anything with the radio stations. I haven't noticed if there's any changes with the music. I guess I could look that up and make sure, but the voice acting is all still there. So you have Samuel L. Jackson playing Officer Tenpenny, which is fucking awesome.
Yes, and of course the late Sean Penn. He's his voice is still in the game.
Yep.
He was a great actor. Yeah, that's great that that came out and that you're enjoying it once again. That's great.
Oh yeah.
Okay. I guess before we start into news, I guess we can talk about what games we've been playing here recently. So, Annina, what have you been playing lately, if
Uh,
anything?
I the last game I played was Skyrim because I could never get sick of games of Elder Scrolls ever, ever.
Let's go.
I'll just quite happily just virtually live in that world. So yeah.
Yeah, tell us. I mean, people like me, I've never played any of the Elder Scrolls games
Mm.
in existence. Try to sell me as to why this is a game I might like to try out.
Oh God, I'm so bad at selling. I mean, haven't you ever wanted to be an all-powerful mage or a thief or amazing with a bow and arrow? Did you not watch Lord of the Rings and be like, oh, I want to be able to do that with a bow? That's what you can do in Skyrim. It's and well, the first game that I came across that had the open world, system was Morrowind, and that was amazing. And it had real time weather, real time. So you see the sun sets, you could see the sun rise, and that just blew my mind.
And that's in real time.
Yeah,
Wow, cool.
yeah. So
That's
if you
awesome.
play for hours, you can see the sun setting and then rise up again. Obviously, you can go, wait or go to sleep if you want to, wait. You need sunlight, and you're like, oh, I don't want to actually sit here for 5 hours. You can cheat that, but
Oh, I see.
playing the sun, the weather conditions change, and that is just amazing. Plus magic. I mean, come on, magic.
Come on, magic. I mean, that's what sells a game, magic. Well, that's cool. Yeah, well, you've sold me into thinking about trying out that game in the future. So
Believe
cool.
you've not tried them. They're amazing.
Uh,
And also
uh,
the relationships in that game are great. I think it was the first game I played where you flirted with a random character, and then I got really upset that I couldn't see them again because they're just a random NPC you meet, and you have this little flirtation, and then you never see them again. And that staring moment where you're there going, "What?" I met them for 5 minutes, and now I'm like, I wonder if I go into the town I saw them again, if I'll see them again. That's a powerful emotion, especially back in the 90s when that Morrowind came out, where it was mainly point and shoot type games.
oh
You
yeah,
didn't really interact that much. You just went and did things and left.
very cool.
Mm.
Very cool. Okay. And Nick, what have you been playing lately?
I'm actually playing a little Metal Slug 3 right now on the 360. One of those,
Oh, I love Metal Slug.
yeah, one of those just fun, Neo Geo games. I mean, I'm more than likely never gonna own a actual Neo Geo console because the home console ones or the games are freaking expensive.
Still to this day, yeah.
Yeah, it's just insanity. But I think I have the first one on PSN, I believe. But I got the third one for the 360. So it's nice that they did re-release them digitally like that, so you can go back and play them. I know there's like a collection of Metal Slug games.
Mm-hmm. Do you have a Wii?
I do.
Then you're in luck. They do have the Metal Slug anthology that's out for the Wii. It's been out for quite a few years now,
Oh,
but
nice.
definitely worth picking up. I think there's one of the games that has never been released in the U.S.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Very
I would
nice.
check it. I think it's like $20 on Amazon.
I'll definitely keep it in mind just because like I said, I'm planning on getting an Xbox One, so which I'm
Okay.
really excited for.
Okay.
I'll probably pick up
And
this Sunset Overdrive bundle and EA UFC and possibly Killer Instinct
yes,
because
yes,
that's one of the games that was actually on my list because when I saw like I want to play that when that system comes out and I just haven't been able to even get the system because it was a
yeah,
digital release day one and I think they're releasing another uh, set of characters as well.
yeah. They just did a season 2.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So
Yeah.
they have the entire season one on physical release on the physical disc, which is I think like $20.
Nice.
So if I think EA USC is 40, so I should be able to get both. If not, I'll wait. I'll probably hold off on Killer Instinct because between EA UFC, Sunset Overdrive, and I'm pre-ordering WWE 2K15, I'm gonna have a good chunk of stuff to play.
Something I should pass along to you since you're thinking about picking up Killer Instinct. I think there is an Ultimate Edition of Killer Instinct that you can digitally buy, and also comes with the original arcade games, Killer Instincts 1 and 2.
Ooh, nice.
So maybe you want to pick up the Ultimate Edition.
Hmm. Okay.
Okay.
I'm definitely thinking about it because I was thinking about getting the Assassin's Creed bundle, but since I've just kind of been playing Revelations recently, and I haven't gotten the three. I really don't want to have two games sitting on my system I'm not even going to play right away. And
Yeah,
because those file sizes are so big, and even on a 500 gigabyte hard drive, you're going to fill it up fast if you're getting digital games. But they have to
yeah,
install on the hard drive anyway, so it's
Mm.
yeah. I think
yeah.
that's one thing that's really irritated me with the systems that have come out today, where they're trying to be so much like PC games, because a lot of PC gamers have been saying, "Yeah, what are you guys bitching about? We've done this
Mhm.
longer than you have. So what are you pissing and moaning about?" But it's a good. I mean, it's something about it. It just really has bothered me for a while, but I'm warming to it because I download a bunch of classic games onto my systems. I do that legally, by the way, legally.
Yep.
Um,
Um,
but much like installing these newer games, they take up quite a bit of memory.
And I mean, we haven't. It was never a requirement on the 360. I know you can install them on the 360 hard drive, but it's not a requirement.
Yeah, yeah.
I know they released a 3 terabyte hard drive that you can get for the Xbox One, which is I think like $120, which
Not
is
so bad.
yeah, but for 3 terabytes, and of course it depends on how many games you get over the system's life cycle. If you think about it, because my buddy who got the day one edition, he's not a hardcore gamer per se. He plays Call of Duty. He has like FIFA. He has the EA UFC, but that's about it. He doesn't buy a whole lot of games outside of like Call of Duty and you got EA, like I said, EA UFC and FIFA, and that's it. So
Yeah,
he doesn't have to worry about it with like someone like me or you. Well, we're gonna be buying quite a few games, so I'll try and stick to physical release as much as I can. Let's put it that way.
yeah. I'm with you with that too. I think for me, I prefer owning a physical copy because two things. Number one, it gives me a sense of pride of knowing that I've got the game in my hands, and I take very usually when it comes to getting games, I take good care of them. I always put them back in the cases when I'm done playing them and all that. And two, I am a game collector. I am one of those guys. So it's just nice actually when you get done with the game, you put it on the shelf and whoops,
Hmm.
sorry, I didn't mean to bump the mic. Um, and just I can just come back to it anytime I like. And also, let's just say, for instance, if the hard drive crashes, I can
Mm.
actually still play the game. You know?
Yeah, I'm all for having the physical copy as well.
Yeah.
And it's just nice to be able to, you know, touch something. I still have CDs. I still buy CDs. It's
Me
the same
too.
principle. I like having the thing and going into the store and buying the thing
I think that's
instead of
something.
just downloading everything.
Yeah, I think that's something that this generation doesn't is hasn't really fully experienced because
Hmm.
the younger generation now is just looking at uh how they could download games onto their home consoles, computers, their iPhones and things like that, and tablets. And the same is going with movies because some of these movies today that come out in theaters are now just like as soon as they come out in theaters, they're on like on-demand services or pay-per-view.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
So I think a lot of things are kind of going away because it's all this digital distribution. I mean, I love the convenience of it, but it's just I just think that the younger generation is getting robbed of the experiences that you and I had when we were kids.
No, I agree. And I don't think there's really the same thrill of buying digital than it is buying something real. At least for
Exactly.
me.
Yeah, I still buy video games and I still buy movies, CDs. I even buy records, believe it or not. I buy records. It's just the sense of knowing that it's right there and I can just look at it and I can play it, anytime I want. But okay, well, that was a good little opener for this show. So I guess we'll go on to gaming news. And this
Well, I
episode
did
is
have a
being
couple
recorded.
more games I can go over. We kind of got
Oh, sure.
sidetracked.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go
Yeah,
ahead. Go
yeah,
ahead.
it's my fault. I just kind of, like I said, Assassin's Creed Revelations. Again, it's Assassin's Creed. I enjoy the series. It's one of those like weird because I first played it the first one on the PS3, and then that was the only game with Altair, and then it moved on to the the Ezio trilogy. You could almost skip the first one though. It seems like, and then you can move on to the second one because that's where that's where it really starts to pick up. But a lot of it's the same, gameplay, and I like it. I like being able to run across rooftops, shove a hidden blade back of somebody's neck, surprise them. Just awesome. It's there. It really is one of the best series of this generation. So, and then the
Very
other
cool.
one I've really been playing is outside of Smash Brothers on the 3DS here and there, which I'm enjoying. I'm gonna pre-order and get the Wii U version, so I have both because it's freaking Smash Brothers. I like playing as Little Mac because I like to punch motherfuckers in the teeth. That's the best way to put it.
Yeah.
But I said I'm pre-ordering WWE 2K15 for the Xbox One. I actually red boxed it on the 360. So I enjoyed it for what it was. It's if I wasn't getting the Xbox One so soon, I probably would just buy this version. But since I can do the pre-order, I can get the Sting DLC. I'm going for that. In the 360 and PS3 versions, there's no like my career mode. None of the facial scans are in there, so it's more like a roster update of WWE 2K14. But there's the Who Got NXT mode, which you between the 5 NXT guys that are in the game: Adrian Neville, Bo Dallas, Rusev, Corey Graves, and Sami Zayn. You play about 4 different matches with each wrestler, and there's different challenges you have to complete, and after you complete all of them with every one of them, you unlock the Proving Ground mode, which is basically like the streak mode from WWE 2K14, only you're not trying to break the Undertaker streak, you're trying to beat John Cena. So, yeah. With some guys, it's a little easier. I didn't have so much of a problem doing it with Sami Zayn or Rusev, or let's see, and I think I just did with Zayn and Rusev, and I think I did with Bo Dallas as well. Corey Graves, I was having some problems with. I beat use Adrian Neville to beat Cena in a different mode because I was trying to get as many achievements as possible. But I was enjoying that for what it was. And then there's also the 2K Showcase mode where you play through two different rivalries. You have the Triple H Shawn Michaels rivalry from 2002 to 2004, and then you have the John Cena CM Punk rivalry that goes from 2011 to 2013. And that you go through, you play several, many different matches through the rivalry, whether they're one-on-one matches between the two. So, like in the Triple H Michaels one, you play the SummerSlam 2002 match, and again, there are different challenges you have to go through and complete. And then there's a bunch of different like offshoots. So, like there's tag matches in there where there's I think one involving Booker T and Kane with Michaels and Triple H. There's the Elimination Chamber from the Survivor Series. So, and that's enjoyable for what it is. There's a lot of great video packages of what was going on leading up to certain matches. And but like I said, I'm really looking forward to getting the Xbox One version, because the My Career mode is basically like you basically create a guy and you start off in NXT, their developmental territory deal, and you work your way up to the main roster and the getting on the Raw and SmackDown, the pay-per-views and stuff like that. But you build your stats up, and it's kind of there's like an RPG element in there. So you don't just max out your guys' stats right away. You have to earn them doing different like goals and challenges, but I'm really looking forward to playing that.
Sounds like a lot of fun.
Oh yeah.
Um, yeah, I haven't really played. Actually, I haven't really followed wrestling for 15 years or so. Um, it's like around 1996 or 97. I kind of stopped watching.
So you missed the
And
whole Attitude Era. There's a lot of stuff in those years you missed that was just great. Like,
yeah, I was there with like the gold, what I like to consider the golden era of wrestling. We had all the greats like Hulk Hogan, Ted DiBiase, Million Dollar Man, original guy, Andre the Giant, which was I loved immensely, and of course my personal favorite, the Iron Sheik.
oh yes. On Slamcast we have the Iron Sheik tweet of the week.
And my favorite quote, and unfortunately it's on the soundboard, but we're actually recording a show, so I can't really hit the button, so I'll just do it myself. Fucking bullshit.
Yeah, exactly. That's how we end our Iron Sheik tweet of the week. It's always something. You just follow him. Seriously, follow him on Twitter. It's I think _Iron Sheik. Just the
Really?
most random, off the wall. It will. You go like from a legitimate question is completely off the rails in 3 lines. I mean, it's just great.
That's awesome. I gotta follow him on Twitter then. That's cool. But yeah, like the whole attitude era that you called it. It's just something about it. It's like this isn't how I thought wrestling was going to be like. But we all go through those phases in our lives, so whatever.
It's changed so much over the years. You look at, the 80s era, the rock and wrestling, and then you have, the new generation era, which was, Michaels and Bret Hart. And the reason those guys got a lot of, exposure was because of the whole steroid scandal.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Um,
Actually, in 2007, Andrew Tess Martin he was working for TNA Wrestling at the time, and he was actually fired because he was too muscular. Because that was around the time the whole Chris Benoit, double murder, suicide thing happened, and he was one of those guys that was a walking red flag. So, yeah.
Okay, I think I remember like the last time I really followed wrestling, and that was when Owen Hart had that accident where he
99,
died.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that was just one of those just trash. And that's actually that pay-per-view, because they have the WWE Network, and it's unfortunate because I know Canada, it's just a cable channel. I think that's what's going on in the UK, and that's why it got delayed again. But here in America, you can watch any pay-per-view. They haven't uploaded. They have a lot of the ECW stuff. They don't have a lot of the They have a lot of the hardcore TVs, but they don't have a lot of the later stuff. Nor do they have a lot of the. You can't really call them pay-per-view. It was their, like their specials that predated their pay-per-view. So there's like Heatwave 95. There's stuff like that isn't on there yet. They just started adding some of the Nitros, and they're adding some of the old Raws. They have some of the early Raws on there too. But you can go back and you can watch. Like, you want to watch, the one that Owen Hart died on, which was Over the Edge '99. That's on there. It's all more on demand than what's going on in Canada and the UK. But at least I think
Now,
that's going.
I don't recall this. If did it actually air when the cable snapped, or was the
No,
camera turned?
he was getting ready for the entrance, and I think they were either I think they were getting ready to do an interview with Jeff Jarrett, and I guess Owen was getting ready to make his entrance, and that's when it happened. So it wasn't actually aired on. Like, everyone in the arena saw it, but it wasn't
Yeah.
aired on. But they had to do some, so they had to delay. They were getting ready for the match, and then it happened. So they had to cut to a pre-tape. Jeff Jarrett was his interview was supposed to be later, so they had to rush him to do the interview. He had no idea what was going on.
Wow.
Yeah, so
Damn.
because I remember he told the story on his DVD as King of the Mountain. It was like it's like a 4-disc DVD thing TNA had put out, and he was talking about how he did the interview and he had no idea what was going on. He had no idea what was going. He had seen like Owen on the stretcher, and it wasn't really clicking until he got into the ring and he asked like what happened. The ref said that's where he fell. So he really had no idea till he was even out for the match. So.
Jeez.
Because where Owen had hit the ring, you could tell because it went down like lower. There was like a dent. It was just one of those freak, accidents that.
Wow, that's a shame.
Yeah.
Well, let's pick things up a little bit here.
Yes.
Oh, I forgot to talk about what games I've been playing.
Yeah.
Well, I've been playing some. You guys remember that game, Out of This World? Remember that from the early '90s?
What kind of game?
Or it was also called Another World, and I think it was in Europe. But anyways, it's a game where this scientist goes to this lab and he's conducting an electronic experiment. And there was a lightning storm that struck the lab at the same time he was conducting the experiment, and he got thrown and he got basically just transported to a different planet. First game, Out of This World. You guys remember that?
No.
Okay.
No, sorry.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. Well, anyways, they came out with the 20th anniversary edition, and I've been playing that. And Courtney was with me, and we turned that into a Let's Play series. So I've been playing some of that. Then, been playing some older games as well. Been playing Super Adventure Island. Been playing a little bit of that.
Fun.
Yes. And Zombies Ate My Neighbors. I just got done playing a little bit of that before we came on to Skype. So those are some really awesome games. Well, that's what I've been playing. Did I just hear chirping? Did you hear crickets?
I didn't catch that. Weird.
Oh, okay.
That is odd. We definitely don't have crickets over here in the UK, so.
Okay.
What are you guys?
Definitely not this time of the year because of because it's fall and things are just it's just, the season's changed. I just could have sworn I just heard crickets. That's strange. But anyways.
Yeah, I don't like a how weird. The internet crickets.
Yes. Let's see here. But let's go ahead and let's just dig on into news. And like I said, we're actually recording this episode, so I'll just have to do the jingle myself. So, my friend Nick, what's in the news this week?
Oh crap! I haven't really seen much. You get a bunch of stuff from the direct. I haven't gotten a chance to. I really don't keep as much with gaming news as I should, but I'm trying to think of any. I haven't really seen anything that I can think of off the top of my head.
Okay, well, that's fine. Uh, let's see. Nino, do you have anything?
I never have any news. Never have any news. I've got opinions, but no news.
Okay, well, let's see here. Well, Nick actually talked about some stuff that's going on with Nintendo Direct. So I guess I'll bring up some of those stories here. One of the big things that have been revealed during this Nintendo Direct is Majora's Mask is coming to the 3DS.
Knew that was going to come up. That's the big. See, that's the big thing I could. Now that I think about it, I forgot. I completely forgot about that. I don't know how I'm so jacked for it.
I have never played that game before. And I was actually pretty surprised. I mean, I knew at some point they were going to release it for the 3DS, considering how well Ocarina of Time did on the 3DS.
First
So
game I ever
figured
picked up for the 3DS too. Ocarina of Time, so 3D.
that's really, really cool. But yeah, they made that announcement that that game was coming out. Where's the story? I'm trying to find it. It's down here. I'm actually pulling some stories from another website. Um, but yeah, I think it's coming out in 2015, as far as I know.
Spring, yeah.
Spring 2015. And let's see here. So got that coming out. And another big surprise as well is they were showing off another trailer for Super Smash Brothers for the Wii U. They were showing off the Duck Hunt dog who's going to be in the game.
Oh, Doug Hunt. Yeah. Oh, that was such an epic game.
Well, it's even more incredible. They also announced at the end of the trailer that Duck Hunt is coming to the Wii U Virtual Console.
Oh, now I have to get a Wii U. Oh, who wants to buy me a Wii U? I can't afford one.
But yeah, that's coming out. I think they did not give a date as to when that's coming out, but yeah, I mean, of course, obviously you're going to be using the Wii remote to use to shoot the ducks and all that, which I can't understand why they didn't do that in the first place on on the Wii.
I want them to make like a add-on piece to the remote so it looks like the gun you had when you played Duck Hunt back in the 90s. You know, that orange.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, the zapper.
Yeah, it needs to look like that.
Yeah, I would love to. I mean, somebody probably could like make a mod that like something you can plug into the Wii U remote where it can actually use the zapper. But at the same time, I think the way they have it programmed is I don't think that the Wii remote is going to pick up on the light source on the screen when you played the game originally.
Mm-hmm.
So they probably just did some modifications with that. Which case, I don't care because it's fucking Duck Hunt. I want to play that again.
There's no more space in our house for more consoles. That's what I'm thinking. The Wii is sitting there looking a bit sad for itself because it hasn't been touched in about a year. Aww. I just wish they were, you know, I don't know, backwards compatible.
Yeah. That's what I liked about the Wii U because it's backwards compatible with Wii games. Unfortunately, the same can't be said for GameCube games.
Mm-hmm.
Or PS4 is not going to be backwards compatible, which makes me really sad.
Yeah, I don't think the Xbox One is either, so... I mean, Nintendo's always really good about making their consoles, you know, one generation backwards compatible, which is nice.
It's really, really nice, especially for someone like me. When we get a new console, it's a big thing. You know, it's a big investment. Mm-hmm. And I think sort of game companies have kind of forgotten that. I mean, we'll probably... I mean, we've waited a long time not to get the PS4 because we had so many PS3 games we wanted to get through first. And, you know, and then you kind of have to push aside all the PS3 games and then just concentrate on the PS4 games, which I don't really like doing. I like the option to be able to bounce back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
They have, Sony has said at one point, I don't think they've had it patched yet, but I thought at one point they said that they were going to make it so that way you could play PS2 games on the PS4.
Mm.
And I think PS1 games will work on the system as well. But as far as like playing PS3 games, that's not going to happen. Because the only way you can actually play your PS3 games is you have to use like their cloud streaming service, which means you have to register your PS3 games in order to play them. I think that's how it works. I'm not sure. But carrying on, go ahead.
No, I'm just wondering how the registering will work. It's a bit odd.
Because trust me, I mean, I don't want to put my PS3 away if I want to play Red Dead Redemption.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, but it is what it is. Maybe at some point they'll patch the system where they'll allow it, but only time will tell. It's interesting because the PS4 uses Blu-ray discs, much like the PS3 did, as a storage medium. It probably doesn't mean too much, but you would think they would make it so that way PS3 games could play on it. But
yeah, exactly. I don't know.
But only time will tell.
People who don't get, who aren't hardcore gamers, that don't play the games straight away as soon as they come out, they're kind of left behind, if you know what I mean. Because if you get the PS4, then there's so many PS3 games that people haven't had time to find or play them if they upgrade to the new system, unless they make the PS4 version of, say, Red Dead Redemption and all these sort of slightly older PS3 games.
I see where you're going with that, because it was. I remember back in the '90s, the mid '90s, when in the mid '90s, where when we were transitioning from the Super Nintendo to the Nintendo 64, there were some games that came out in between that transition that I missed out on, and sad to say, some of those games are collectibles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they just got forgotten in that weird in between period.
And because of that, I missed out on Castlevania Dracula X. Every time I'm on the show, I mention that game because I'm so in love with it, and I haven't even played the damn thing. And also Donkey Kong Country 3, I missed that one. But nice little bit of tidbit there, a little bit of information. For those of you who haven't played that game, if you were to go into one of those Kong houses, not Cranky Kong, but I think it's one of the other family members that have their house there, they actually have a Nintendo 64 sitting on the floor, and they're playing the games.
I like that.
So that's pretty cool. So a little self-promotion of a new system that came out, but yeah, I just hate that when a new system comes out, you're all about wanting to get this new system that you're forgetting out, or you're missing out on these other games and all that. So, but it is what it is. But moving on, something else that was announced at that Nintendo Direct is they actually mentioned this at E3. It was a new Kirby game that's coming out for the Wii U. And you guys remember the game that came out on I think it was the DS, I think. It was, or it could have been a 3DS. I think it was a DS, where you controlled Kirby, but you actually drew lines to get him to where you needed to go. It was, Kirby and the Rainbow Canvas.
But I never got a chance to play it. But yeah, I remember seeing it.
Yeah. Well, Nintendo actually showed a little bit of this Kirby game that's basically the same thing, and it's coming out for the Wii U. But the characters look like they're made out of clay, which looks pretty nice. But anyways, that game is coming out in February of 2015, and it's called Kirby and the Rainbow Curse. And like in the single-player game, Player 1 will directly control Kirby's progress by way of the Wii U gamepad's touchscreen, while 3 additional players take control of Waddle Dee. In the mode, Waddle Dee can help collect and explore items in the world, as well as grab and throw Kirby. So that sounds like it could be fun, especially for those of you like myself who are fans of Kirby. Could be something kind of could be kind of fun. And for those of you who live in the European regions out there, Coming to the Wii U's eShop is a game that we've been enjoying here in the United States, and it's Shovel Knight.
I still need to play that.
You would love it. It's great. For those of you who have not played the game, first of all, shame on you. Not you, Nick. You and I are cool, Nick. I'm just saying for the rest of you, this game is awesome. It's 8-bit throwback game where it's like it takes elements of Mega Man, Castlevania, and DuckTales, and it's got some really great music. It's just gorgeous. Go look up Shovel Knight. If you don't know this game, go check it out. It's so cool. I love it. Of course, Nintendo's mentioning so much about this amiibo thing going on. It's kind of like Skylanders, you know.
Mhm.
You get all these Nintendo toys. I just call them toys because that's what they look like. But you put them on the gamepad, and then you can put them in certain games like Smash Brothers, and then they're gonna have it updated for Mario Kart. Where we can put these characters in the game as well. And of course, that the same thing with Nintendo Direct are teasing DLC content for Mario Kart 8.
Yeah, they've been, posting videos about it. I still need to do the pre-order on the DLC. The first DLC pack doesn't come out till the 24th, so
Yeah,
pre-order
and
it then.
it's
Before
got
that,
some. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna pre-order that DLC before then, because it's cheaper if you pre-order it. I think it's at like $12, because the DLC packs are like $8 each, and the next one it doesn't come out till I think May
Yeah, that's right.
of 2015. So
Yeah.
I'll pre-order it and then get it a little cheaper, which is nice. See, that's the way that they should do their DLC.
Oh yeah, I totally agree. It's really nice too because some of these things are going to put in for these DLC packs. Get some additional characters, like in the first DLC pack, you get Tanuki Mario.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And let's see,
Link,
which is kind of out there. He's never been in one of these games before,
I
but
mean, he's all
okay.
over Smash Brothers. He's always been Smash Brothers, so why not put him in Mario Kart 8? I mean, it does.
Oh, I'm not complaining. I'm not
Oh,
complaining.
yeah.
I think that's going to be pretty cool.
It's gonna be
I mean, at the
awesome.
same time, why can't they put like Kirby in the game as well? You know, or maybe at some point though.
Kirby should be in the game.
It should have been, I think, but you never know. Maybe at some point, like future DLC packs, they might do that. But so that's going to be pretty cool. And they have some new tracks that they're showing off. Like some of them are inspired by other Nintendo games, like Excite Bike. They got a track dedicated to that. There's also a course that's in the world of Zelda, so that's going to be nice. But yeah, yeah. So the first DLC pack comes out November 24th, as mentioned, for $7.99 or $8 if you like, and then the other DLC pack coming out May 2014 for $8. But yeah, if you can, definitely buy both DLC packs for $12.99 and pre-order as early as you can because I'm not sure if that's going to be the same price for both packs if they're still bundled together after the 24th. So who knows?
Mm-hmm.
What else have they been teasing? That's been pretty much it. Most of the time they were talking about Amiibo, all these characters, and Smash Brothers. Oh, and the other thing they talk about too is uh, Shigeru Miyamoto, the creator of Mario, Zelda, and pretty much all the cool Nintendo games. He actually talked about how he was away for a while. He was actually making some animated Pikmin movies. And they will be available on the 3DS and 3D versions, of course, and then the Wii U in high definition versions. And I think if you were to get all three of these short films, it's $20. And I think individually they're going to be like $5 a piece. Wait, that doesn't make any sense here. Hang on a second. 'Cause that would be robbing you blind. Hang on, I'm just reading the story here. Demo for a collection of. Okay, I read that wrong. I'm so sorry. A collection of Shigeru Miyamoto's animated Pikmin short movies is available for both 3DS and Wii U for $5. So I'm assuming that for $20 for 20 minutes for three of these movies is $5. So that sounds like a better deal, I think.
Hmm.
Yes.
I got my facts all bent up. I'm sorry about that.
It's all right.
But yeah, and of course we're talking about how they got the Pikmin 3 demo is out. So and if you like that, you can actually download the game. But I actually already have the game on the Wii U because when I bought Mario Kart 8, I took advantage of this promotion they had where you can download a free Wii U game, and that was the game I downloaded.
Oh,
It's Pikmin
nice.
3. Yeah,
I did Wind Waker HD.
I already had that game, and I love it. Uh,
Thing is,
but this,
if they had a Mario 3D World, I think I would have gone for that. What was great because I have the deluxe digital promotion, so
uh-huh.
anything I buy digitally, I get points for it.
Mhm.
So the full like $50 download price for Wind Waker HD actually counted towards it.
There you go.
Yeah, so I was not only did I end up getting Mario Kart 8, I got Wind Waker HD, and I think I ended up downloading Super Mario Bros. 3 onto the Virtual Console of the Wii
Ah,
U.
yes.
Yes, my favorite game of all time.
Here we go. But yeah, I remember the list that had Wind Waker HD. I think another game was New Super Mario Brothers U, which they put in pretty much any promotion for Wii U games.
Hmm.
And there was another one that I think I already had, so I was left with no choice but to download Pikmin 3. Well, I had a choice. I mean, I could have just like not downloaded any of them, but I thought, well, it's a free game. That's the only one I don't have of the four, so why not?
Hmm.
Excuse me. But
Yeah, I had New
yeah,
Super Mario Bros. U when the Wii U came out because I had pre-ordered it. I got the black 32 gig model, so got that. Got Nintendo Land, and I pre-ordered Mario U. So
yeah, those are yeah, I did. I actually got those as gifts for my sister last year when I came back from college. So she was awesome when
nice.
she got me that. She also got me Lego City Undercover, which is so fun. That is a fun game. But yeah, and I guess the only other bit of news we have here this week, I'm not sure if it was talked about in previous episodes. Uh, it's about Super Smash Brothers for the 3DS, and there is this glitch in the game, and I think a
Oh
lot of
yeah,
you guys.
banning people for like 136 years or some shit.
Yes,
Yeah, I
I
saw
was
that.
like,
Alpha Omega Sin did a video about it. I'm thinking, are you kidding me? And because it's like if you do like a four-player Smash Online, if you target one player excessively, they will ban you.
which is
For
ridiculous.
170 years.
136 years
Yeah,
Why not just make it half an hour or something?
because it's a
You're gonna ban
glitch.
someone.
It's a glitch that Nintendo did not catch before they shipped the game to stores. And you would think that Nintendo, when they come out with games that they are of the highest quality possible, they would catch every single bug
Yeah.
before they would get the game onto the store shelves. But this one, they really screwed up on. I This one is like this totally skedaddles past faux pas. They really fucked
Mm.
this up.
It sounds like a anti-bullying campaign gone a bit too far.
I
yeah, a
Don't
zero
touch
tolerance
him down.
policy that is just way out of fucking control.
Oh, geez. So, I mean, I know at some point they're gonna patch the
They'll
game and all that stuff, but I
patch
just
and
hope that
fix it. So I mean, it's not a big deal. It will get patched, but this is something they should have caught. I think this is not like it's like banning people for a month or something. 100 years, these systems aren't going to be around in 10 years. Okay. I
so
mean, you
well,
remember the Maka Wahoo glitch in Mario Kart 7?
I'll remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a big contention of the group because I'm on the Pete's Game Room forum, Pete Door's gaming forum, and when Mario Kart 7 came out, we were all playing it, and there was one guy that was excessively picking this track and using this glitch, and it would skip you three-quarters of the way across the track
Yep, I
to near
remember
the
that.
end. And we were all arguing with him on the forum about it. He was like, it's a glitch in the game, I can use it. Well, it's still cheating. You're literally breaking the game. And of course, they patched it later and everything was good. But it was like this one track, it's not like it would, skip them like 20 feet ahead or whatever. It skipped them all the way to near the end of the track. So by falling off in a specific spot, it would shoot you near to the end. Like, you can't, it doesn't matter what you're doing, how good you are, you will never be able to beat that.
It's just funny how when something like this happens, because you would expect something like this to happen with like a third party developer, but like Nintendo, that's, to me, that's like it's a sock in the gut. It's like, oh God, what have you guys done? And how could you? How could you let something like this just slip past? I mean, whoever has been testing your games, I'm sorry, give them their pink slips and toss them out the door. I mean, come on. It's a high-profile game. You don't do that to high-profile games.
Mm.
I mean, I remember hearing about, like, I think Sonic Adventure 2 had a really bad glitch that it wouldn't, like, you couldn't finish the last mission or something on the Dreamcast. They had to re-release the game later with the game fixed. I mean, nowadays it's not as much of a big deal because, they get patched and we move on. We just wait for the patch. With, games back then, if, like, let's say, Mario, that Mario Kart 7, that glitch was in, like, Mario Kart 64. Let's say that game was in that glitch. They would have to re-release the game. That glitch was in the game. They would have to completely re-release the game. There's no downloading a patch onto the 64. So...
Yeah, because that's something else too. Like these with gamers today, they're like, "Oh man, a bit of a glitch. I'll just wait for the patch, then I'll play it later on." And it's like, you guys don't know what it was like when we had those other systems that weren't connected to the internet.
Yeah.
Okay, we had to deal with the glitches, and we didn't mind if it was a major glitch. Then we just simply returned the game to the store and got something else. That's what we had to deal with. I mean, of course, it's convenient now that they can just like download a patch just to fix something that happened in the game that they didn't catch when they were in the beta testing.
God forbid if you couldn't fix it in the store, you had to call this helpline that was in another country in another time zone and pay through the nose. That's what I remember.
Hello, this is Go ahead.
Yes, well, I lived in Finland, so imagine trying to call God knows where and going, this doesn't work, and they're just like, well, you're stuffed, aren't you? Click. That's.
Can you imagine though you're calling like let's just say calling like Nintendo, and then you're trying to report, like, say, hey, this game's got a glitch on and stuff, and you're like, oh, I'm so sorry. I don't make games, but definitely will pass this along. Is there anything else I could do for you?
It was more like, which country are you from? Finland. Click. Finland. We don't give a flying about Finland market. What is it? 1.2%. Yeah, stuff them.
But Finland, I love you. There's a nice little song that was written by Monty Python. I love that song.
That is an epic song.
I love it. I'd sing it on here, but then there'd be copyright problems, and I think Burhan would be pretty upset, so I'm not going to sing it.
Just imagine fish. There you go.
Yes.
It's in everyone's head now.
Finland, 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 the country where I want to be. But in terms of news, that's all I've got.
Shall we get on to the meat of the podcast?
Let's go on to the main event. Ding, ding, ding.
Exactly. Where's Michael Buffer when you need him? Yeah, Michael Buffer.
Ladies, wait, here we go. He's just coming in right now. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, let's get ready to rumble!
I love that game on the Dreamcast.
Those games were awesome.
And speaking of Michael Buffer, he used to do the main event announcing for WCW on their pay-per-views. He would be the guy to do the ring announcing. Talk about Ted Turner's billionaire checkbook. Good God. No
No
wonder.
kidding.
Well, that and the horrible booking made him run out of business, but that's a different story altogether.
But anyways, we're gonna go right into it. This week's theme was something that I was inspired by because I recently did an episode of Desert Island Games uh, here on RetroUnlim.com, and when we were before we came onto the show, we were trying to figure out what we're going to do as a theme. So I thought, why don't we come up with a list, each one of us, 10 games that we would take with us if we were stranded on a deserted island. So I thought this would be a nice little thing. I mean, those of you who are listening to this show, feel free to go ahead and leave your comments below and tell us what games you would take with you to a deserted island if you were put in that situation. So what we're going to do here is we're going to start at the bottom of our lists and then work our way up to the very top, which would be our absolute favorite game, the game we absolutely must have with us in order to us to survive, I guess. Because forget eating or drinking or trying to start a fire for warmth. If we don't have our number one favorite game with us, we're totally fucked. So
Well, it's food for the brain.
food for the brain, yeah,
Yeah.
but not food for the tummy.
Yeah.
But
Well, the brain is more important.
unless you are playing a game where there's food involved, I think that'd be a bad choice. But anyways, so we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna start. Let's see, Annina, why don't you tell us what your first game that you would take with you if you were put in that position?
Okay. Do you want my number one game?
We're gonna
Or
start.
just-
We're gonna start at the very bottom and save the
Awesome.
best for last.
Okay. Okay. No. Okay. Right at the bottom of my list, but still, made the cut would be Flower. Did you guys ever play this game?
No,
No.
tell us about it.
Flower is as close to meditation as a game can ever be. It's like a game that's not a game. And it's really hard to explain. But it's one of the most relaxing things I've ever done on the PS, on any console, on any computer. And the developer, I can't remember the developer's name, but he said he wanted to make gaming as close to meditation as possible. And it's called Flower. And he's made another game as well before this called Flow. And this is the second one. And perfect game if you just want to chillax and let your mind rest. You're basically a gust of wind, and you have to pick up these flower petals on the way. And that's it. There's no big aim. There's no, there are levels, but there's no big, payoff at the end. And I know it sounds really boring, but somehow it manages not to be. So that would be my number 10 to take on a desert island.
Yeah, I heard
Mind.
It's a PSN exclusive, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I'd heard about that, and it's not my, type of game. I mean, usually I'm more action oriented. I mean, I did enjoy the Walking Dead game. I absolutely love that. I ended up picking that up around Christmas of 2012. It was all 5, games for 5, episodes for about $10 of that first season. So I scarfed up on all of them when I got the chance. Which is nice, because I think that's the best way to do it. You can play, all 5 in a row and without waiting, play, they're like 2-3 hours per episode. So you can do that, and then you don't have to wait, 2 months for the next episode.
Very cool. Very cool. All right. I was way there for a couple of minutes. So I think Nick, you just talked about your game. Was that correct?
No, I just mentioned the Walking Dead game.
Oh,
because that's kind of what it reminds me of. Because I'm usually more action oriented. But that Walking Dead was one of the few games that isn't, it's more of a point and click, story driven, heavily story driven, and it was enjoyable.
Yeah, I've heard good things about it.
Yeah,
whatever
decisions
give it a
you
go,
make,
I really like the TV show. So
because it's great because whatever decisions you make. So like you'll make a decision in episode 1, it affects how everything else plays out. So there, I don't want to give any spoiler points away.
Yeah.
So I'll leave it like there are certain things that whether you do or you don't, it changes how the game ends, how certain things happen. Like it's great.
A bit like, well, Heavy Rain had a similar
Right.
mechanic as well. Is your choices move the game in different directions.
Which is great when they give you, there's a little more open, that you're never really going to play the game the same way twice.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. But the game I have on the bottom of my list is Super Castlevania 4.
Oh, that's my second favorite video game of all time.
Ooh, okay. Like, if I was going to pick one Castlevania game, and I know the obvious choice would be Symphony of the Night, but there's something about Super Castlevania 4 that is just amazing. That is one of those games that it's amazing they never kept that whip control, that 8-way whip direction. That's what drives me nuts. And when it goes, into like Dracula X and later games, it's still one way. This game it was just perfect. The music was awesome. They had, near the end, the remixed themes from the first 3 Castlevania games.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's hard as balls, don't get me wrong. I mean, because I just did a review of it on my YouTube channel when I posted, I think a couple of weeks ago. And I had about 8 hours of footage, roughly. About 5 of those from level 8 and beyond. About an hour on the final boss.
Wow, you did that on your YouTube channel.
Yeah, reviewing it. I did a review.
Yeah.
So that's how much footage I had. Usually I don't have that much footage for a review. I think my San Andreas one I did, I think I only had maybe an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. Because there's only, certain parts I really needed. And, without giving, all that footage just kind of more floating towards the beginning of the game without giving away any big spoiler points.
Yeah.
But yeah, this game is one of those, you're Simon Belmont, you need to defeat Dracula. I had no problem showing the end of the game. Because
yeah,
it's awesome. It's actually one of the few Super Nintendo games I have complete. Because it's so expensive to collect for that system. The only other one I have is I think I have Pitfall the Mine Adventure, and I only paid $10 for that complete. I paid about $48 for this copy of Super Castlevania 4. That was about 3 years ago. Which is expensive to drop, on a Super Nintendo game, I think. Let alone, with how I'd rather try and get card only. You're not going to see me trying to collect every game for the Super Nintendo, just the ones I want to play. The ones I want to play that are reasonably priced, so like Earthbound or the Ninja Gaiden trilogy, more than likely I'm not going to own those card form. I do have Earthbound on the Wii U Virtual Console. I enjoy that game. But I have no desire to own the cartridge because it's so expensive.
Yeah, I think that's what the drawback is with a lot of these games. Earthbound, it's what, $200? I mean, just for the cartridge itself, and it's $150 if you were to try to find Castlevania Dracula X. But what's really great, or $200 for that matter. But that's just corrected by my lovely fiance. But it's great that on the Wii U Virtual Console, those games are readily available for $8 a piece. And also, Demon's Crush was just released for the Virtual Console as well. So if you don't want to get if it's too expensive to get the carts, which is understandable, thankfully Nintendo has reached out to these other companies and said, hey, let's get these games on here because there's high demand for them, and we understand that people are getting annually raped to get these cartridges. So
I mean, are there people that would want to own the cartridge if they're hardcore of a collector? Yeah.
Of course. I mean, I'm one of them, but I mean, this like collecting comic books or records or anything. Depending on the condition and the demand for it, you can be paying quite a bit of money for it.
You see games like Contra, or Smash Brothers, the original Smash Brothers. Those games are still, a little higher because there's a high demand for them. They're not
Exactly.
obviously they're some of the more common games out there. It's just the demand is higher.
Absolutely. And I was just watching a video earlier today. We all know Pat the NES Punk, right?
Yep,
Okay. And he has this podcast. It was the CU podcast.
the completely unnecessary podcast. Yes,
Thank you. I couldn't remember the name of it.
that's
But they actually
awesome.
talked. It is an awesome podcast. And they were actually talking just. They were talking about Contra, where the game itself, just a cartridge, you expect to pay about $30 for it, which is reasonable, but there's such a high demand for it. In fact, when someone goes out and they want to start collecting Nintendo games, that's the first one they always go to.
Yeah, when you think, like, okay, I want to start collecting for the NES. The games that are going to pop in your head are Mario, Zelda, Contra, Bionic Commando, Blaster Master, games like that. Some of the bigger hits, Metroid. And I mean, you can go off the beaten path, and when you can start finding those hidden gems. But of course, the NES is full of crap. I'm looking at one right now. I actually have the American Gladiators game. Oddly enough, I have it signed by Laser and Mike Adamle.
Ooh, nice.
Funny story. They were doing a thing. The local University of Great Falls. It's a private, university here, kind of a, Catholic college. They need a football team, but that's besides the point. For their like homecoming, deal, they were doing like an American Gladiators thing. So they were, it's different the athletes that were competing, and Laser is actually from Great Falls. He was a CMR guy, but I'm not going to hold that against him. So that was I went to Great Falls High, so there's our little crosstown rivalry there. But yeah, so and they flew in Mike Adamle, so I got to meet them. I got to talk to them, and I asked, "Hey, can you sign this for me?" Because it's the only piece of American Gladiator stuff I have. I watched that show all the time as a kid.
Me too.
So that's cool. I actually have it displayed up on my dresser here. And then you have games like John Elway's Quarterback, which is probably one of the worst sports games on this ever. Just look up the box art for this. This is a running joke on I do also do another couple of gaming podcasts because I was with the users podcast, and then me and another host, we went and merged with the Hey Listen podcast. But there was a running joke about the shit-eating grin of John Elway on the cover of that John Elway's Quarterback game. Look this up. It's one of the just most hilariously bad box arts. Like, people look at the first Mega Man box art. This is much worse.
It was.
Oh my god.
How generic was it? Because he's just smiling from ear to ear, and he's
Yeah.
holding an NES controller.
In a really weird position angle, by the way, but that's besides the point. And the funniest thing about this is this game came out still a good 10 years before he led the Broncos to 2 Super Bowls and then retired.
Yeah.
This was like right around the time I think he joined Denver, or it was like I think he might have still been with Indianapolis, the Colts at the time. But they would put whatever, you would have like what was it? I think Bo Jackson, I think, had a football game. You would have like every other, there'd be so many sports stars, Joe Montana football. So there's all these, sports games were a dime a dozen, platforms were a dime a dozen then. Now, with sports games, you have Madden for football. You have NBA 2K. Now it's a monopoly. You don't see a lot of, offshoots anymore.
Yeah, no, and that's something that's always bothered me too. Is they come out with a Madden game every year, and basically all it really is just just a roster update, and that's all it is. And they say,
I mean, it's almost like they could, because like what I was talking about with the WWE 2K15, at least on the last gen consoles, 360 and PS3. I don't know. Weird, still weird saying that because the current gen is Xbox One and PS4, but
yeah.
It could have been a roster update. They could have added a couple of modes. They could have, even just sold the update for $20 for 2K14. It's the exact same, gameplay. They could have done that. It's a full release every year after year after year. I don't buy Madden games new every year. The last one I bought brand new was, the 25th anniversary Madden on the 360. And before that, it was the 20th anniversary Madden '09. So it's like everyone's like, what the hell? I'll get Madden. I'm, not really good with football games, honestly, but I enjoy them for what they are. I'm not one of those guys that has to you have to get it every year, every year, every year. I was kind of with that. Like Call of Duty, when I started getting into that, was Modern Warfare 2. I didn't start playing the online of Modern Warfare 3. But I got Modern Warfare 3, I got Black Ops 2, and then I completely skipped Ghost, honestly. I really didn't have the money, and then, financial situations hit, and I just didn't bother. I'm going to get Advanced Warfare on the Xbox One, though. But
There you go. And
even with
oh,
Call
go
of
ahead.
Duty, though, it's one of those things where it seems, new campaign. It's, same old, Call of Duty, same old multiplayer, but everything is new. They always try and fix everything. Always, so it kind of justifies the new release with Call of Duty in a way, because it's a brand new experience, brand new game. Games, sports games, they could just be a roster update a lot of times, unless they do some big overhaul with the gameplay. If even then they could just do the update and not have to do a physical release.
Yeah.
I mean, they could still do the physical release, maybe a little discounted, for people that say, like, who may not have who want the physical game and don't want to download anything. But, like, if they have, like, let's say you have, what's this year, Madden 15? Next year, if you want to just do the roster update and, download it and, pay $20, they can give that option. So, it just
Which I think
seems
they
like,
should.
yeah.
And I think that's. I mean, on paper that sounds good, but I mean, I see where EA just does this every year because they
People
want
are
to
going
try
to
to
buy it.
bring them. Yeah, people are just going to buy it. I mean, they come in. The people just come in droves, just like sheep, and just come in just to buy
Yeah.
the latest
They're
Madden
going to buy
game.
it.
But
It's money. Period.
yeah, and I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just that they keep saying like each game's like, okay, this is what's new in this game. This makes this better than the game that came out last year. And it's like it's never perfect because they're always coming out with something different and new.
Right. Unless they do some big overhaul, it seems like a lot of times it could just be a roster update, because the rosters change so much every year.
Yeah.
Even after the game comes out, there's still a trade deadline. There's still guys that get traded, guys that get kicked off the practice squad, whatever it may be. Go become free agents, whatever.
That's true. But yeah,
Man, that was a huge sidetrack.
it was.
So,
That's okay. That's
it's
okay.
podcasting.
It's nice to get
Yeah.
rants out and all that stuff.
Well, I'm not
All right.
ranting about it. It's just kind of I don't care personally, but there are things they could do. I don't hold it against them. They're making money off of it. They're not,
Yeah.
doing anything so underhanded like pay for DLC that's already on the disc. Stuff like
Oh,
that.
jeez, that really pisses me off.
Mm.
But anyways,
That's a rant we've definitely had before on this podcast.
oh man, I think
Many a
it's like every single gamer who's had to deal with that kind of bullshit. I mean, we all feel the pain, and I think excuse me, I think some of these
Oh.
companies. Sorry about that. Had a swig of Mountain Dew just now.
Nice.
Anyway, um, what happens is a lot of these companies like Capcom and EA, they were finally called out on all this bullshit they were doing, and Ubisoft as well. They did the same thing. So I don't think we've heard a lot of these stories since then where they found DLC on disc.
They've learned that it doesn't it ticks people off. Because I remember it was the Street Fighter Cross Tekken debacle. They found there were supposed to be PlayStation exclusive characters. Why? I don't know that Bad Box Art Mega Man and Pac-Man were exclusive to PlayStation, but they found it on the Xbox 360 disc.
So yeah.
Yeah. By the way, I love that. Because with PlayStation Plus, I got Street Fighter Cross Tekken on the Vita for free. I love that. It was just fun to play as Bad Box Art Mega Man.
I gotta check that out.
It's like really weird to see this fat, out of shape Mega Man go toe to toe with like Zangief.
And let me guess, he was firing a that handgun, right?
Yes.
Oh gosh.
It had, I don't know if it was just a troll or it was like, why not? This will be goofy as hell. But I mean, we got a good Mega Man in, the new Smash Brothers, but that was just a hell of a troll job. It was funny though, I thought.
Oh yeah.
Mm.
Okay, so getting back to the thing here. So your game is Super Castlevania 4, which
Yep.
I freaking love, and I've mastered the shit out of that game, by the way.
Damn.
I mean, yeah, go check out my YouTube channel, youtube.com/rosecolored let's play. And it's the second series I've done, and I just whipped through that game with hardly any problems. I've had like a couple of stupid deaths, but other than that, yeah, I whipped through that game. I'm a master at it.
Damn.
Humble brag.
Just saying, just saying.
Yeah,
But anyway, so my first game I'm going to talk about here is a game that was a launch title for the GameCube, and I think you all know where I'm going with this, and it's Luigi's Mansion.
Nice.
Ah.
That game is fucking crazy. I mean, a lot of people were so disappointed when the system launched that there was no Mario game. I think at that time, Luigi was due.
Yeah, he needed his own. I mean, that game was enjoyable. He's one of those characters that he's always like he's in the number 2. He's the player 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's always underrated. I always had a soft spot for Luigi. Always.
Oh,
He
I
was still
was
in the U.S. Mario too,
Mm.
to get to that one warp zone in I think 5-3 to get to World 7. Tell you that.
Yeah. But I think what I really loved about the game was the animation, especially for Luigi. Whenever he got scared, his mouth got like super wide and all that stuff. But every time he was walking around, he had that scary look on his mouth, his this wide tooth, scary look, you know. And when I looked at that, I was thinking, did the guys who created Wallace and Gromit help design Luigi like this? But regardless, that game was a hell of a lot of fun, and unfortunately, I've never finished it. I totally regret not finishing the game. But sucking up ghosts and money and all these other things. I mean, this game. I mean, this was supposed to have been on the Nintendo 64, but when they were developing the GameCube, they moved this game over to that system, and it. I mean, it was a smart move because that game was fun as hell. And then many years later, it got a sequel for the 3DS, Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon.
Right. I still need to play that.
I still need to play that too. But I mean, nowadays when people look back, they do say that Luigi's Mansion was one of the better games for the GameCube, and I
yeah.
agree. And I kind of like bring it up to some people who used to bitch about how there wasn't a Mario game when the system launched. Like, hey, but you love Luigi's Mansion now, so whatever. But that's one game I definitely would take with me. You guys have any other thoughts about the game?
Hell, it's hard too. It's one of those
It's
very
very hard.
challenging. I mean, you really have to be really good at it, and you gotta know what you're doing if you're gonna get that perfect, ending with the best house at the end.
Oh yeah. And how you actually achieve that is you have to collect money and pearls,
Mm-hmm.
and you basically collect these pearls by these ghosts, like the ghosts that actually inhabit the mansion.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can, they start with like 100 hit points, and if you can manage to stay on them and suck them into the vacuum without taking a hit or losing control of your the vacuum. Sorry, I forgot the name of the damn thing.
The Poltergeist. Poltergust.
Poltergust.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Poltergust 3000. And if you lost contact with that ghost at any point, you wouldn't earn all these big pearls if you were to stay kept with it for the whole time. And the bigger the pearls, the more money you actually earn from it. And then
Right.
at the end of the game, when everything is all tied up, that determines how big your mansion's going to be.
Yep.
But couldn't say that Mario was not involved in that game in somewhat because he was actually captured, and you actually saw him inside the painting. That kind of blew my mind
Yeah.
when I was at that time.
Yeah, it's like, wait a minute, you are Luigi. You got to save Mario this time. Okay, we got something here.
Yeah, finally Mario's a damsel in distress.
Yeah. And by the way, Super Mario Sunshine, I enjoyed it. Really damn good game. I get a lot of the hate it gets from it, but it's not that it's a bad game. It's just like,
Oh no.
I don't know. I guess the one thing I could say I kind of knock it for is because you have FLUDD through most of the game, and you can hover, and then you end up in those missions where it goes back to straight old school Mario platforming. It
Oh
throws
yeah.
you off.
Mm-hmm.
You get used to FLUDD, and then like, oh wait a minute, now we got to go back old school with this crap.
But the game was still fun as hell, and that's another one I didn't finish. And I thought at some point, sorry, I munched on pizza, by the way. It's dinner time.
It's fine.
Anyways, I thought at some point Nintendo was gonna release GameCube games onto the Wii U, but they haven't, and it's kind of got me a little worried as to if they're ever going to do that. Because I want to play that game again so bad. That and Luigi's Mansion.
Yeah. Hey, maybe we'll do HD remakes.
I'd be down with that.
Yep.
But that's my first pick here. So we'll go back to Annina. What's your second game?
My second game, you're probably going to judge me so badly, but I don't care. It's Sims 3.
Okay.
I've wasted so many pleasurable hours of my life on Sims 1 to 3.
Wow.
And I think that game still has, replay value. Honestly, I love that franchise. I don't care what anyone else thinks. It's not, especially hard or tricky, but pure enjoyment, just top class.
The only time I ever played Sims was when the very first game came out. And I liked it. I thought it was really fun. I mean, I wasn't totally engrossed by it, but I was one of those guys that would, Sim had to go to the bathroom, he'd go in there, and then I would take away the door.
Oh,
he couldn't get out.
Everyone did that.
Or just
at some point.
Or take away the toilet, and then you watch him pee himself.
Yeah, I think it's so enjoyable. It's extremely addictive as well, even though, after a while, you kind of do end up doing the same things. But then it had loads of those expansion packs.
Oh, yeah.
Added a lot of, new things. I don't currently have it because I have a Mac instead of a PC. But I would gladly get Sims 4 if I had a PC.
But that was a question I was going to ask you. Of all the Sims games, why Sims 3?
I don't know. It was, out of the ones I've played, the most sophisticated. And I think it was it got really, really funny by the end. Like, it was kind of, it was kind of tongue-in-cheek in a way, Sims 3. Especially the first Sims was just, blocky characters that just did things. And then by Sims 3, you got facial expressions and emotions, and they had wants and needs, and, you actually had to think about making your Sims happy as well.
Yeah.
Like, they could be healthy, but they'd be depressed, and then you'd be there going, but just do this, and then I swear I'll let you play the video game. It kind of became like a mom, a sort of mother god being like, just do this one thing, and then you can play, okay? Just do this one thing. And
that's how I looked at it too. Is like you were playing either like their parent or their god.
Yeah.
That's what kind of attracted me to the game in the first place.
Yeah, that is the big. I think that's a big attraction of the game is being God, basically.
There we go.
Having control over someone else's life, even though you may not have control over your own life.
I think I was a really nasty god because I was making my Sims pee themselves and make them late for work.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think everyone was excited when the Grim Reaper came the first time. You're like, ooh, the Grim Reaper. What's he gonna do? I think everyone was excited, if we're honest.
Oh, of course, I think so too. Nick, what do you think about that choice?
That's definitely an interesting choice. I'll say that. Doesn't that game have to be connected online always, though? So the idea of a desert island game, unless you're able to get internet too.
Mine was never actually attached to the internet. I played it offline.
Okay.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I played it offline. I was an antisocial sim gamer. I've never actually been into online gaming because I knew that once I went there was no turning back. So I just stayed well away. Especially as I love RPG games, I was like, I'm not going to even go anywhere near World of Warcraft because I have rent to pay. And I know that once I started any kind of online gaming, that's it. I have no career, I have no friends, I have no nothing, so I've stayed well away. Even now, I won't go there. Too dangerous of an area to go to. For me.
Well, to be fair, I've actually given World of Warcraft I've given it a chance. I know we're getting off topic again, but we'll bring it back here in a moment. I've given that game a chance, and my cousin set up like a free 2-week trial for me. And I tried it, and I was like, there's nothing about this that really makes me want to, play beyond this point. I mean, I can see where the appeal is, but I just wasn't able to connect to it.
Which is understandable. I mean, I get why a lot of people love Warcraft. I get why a lot of people get addicted to it and stuff like that. Not my kind of game.
Yeah, no, it's just I think for a lot of gamers, it does have a bit of an acquired taste. I will admit to it, but definitely it is for the hardcore crowd. If that's what they love to do, is connect to an online game such as World of Warcraft and just spend hours and hours on it. I mean, it's like having pardon the pun, it's like having a second life. So, but only you're dealing with the world of trolls and all this other stuff. So, but yeah. Okay, well, that's a good choice. Sims 3. I'm not judging you because, again, it's for those who are into that kind of stuff. So that's not a bad choice at all. So, Nick, what's your second choice?
Sonic 2 on the Genesis.
Oh,
that's
I
good.
almost put that on my list.
And here's why. I'm not the biggest fan of the first Sonic. I really love Sonic 2, though. I'll definitely admit, Sonic 1 was a great game. I enjoyed it. Probably my least favorite of the ones I have played, and now I have not played Sonic 06, and I refuse to because I know how bad that game is.
It is horrible, I will tell you. I used to have 2 copies of it. It is bad.
Why'd you have 2?
Because when I got my PS3 for the first time, scratch it, take it back. I rented it on the 360. And I thought it was just the 360 copy was just crap. But then when I got a PS3, I actually bought a copy. And I was like, this is the exact same game. It has all the same flaws and everything. What the hell was I thinking? So, yeah, the game is shit.
Yeah. Sonic 3, I really love, I love Sonic CD. That game, I haven't even finished Sonic CD. I know that's kind of a, don't no one kill me on that one, but I should just pick that up on the 360 when I get a chance.
Yeah, I got a physical copy of for the Sonic CD for the Sega CD. I got it on the GameCube and I got it on the PSN as well.
Yeah, I think my plan. Yeah, because with how cheap that I think it's like $5. It's one of those games that's it's really good, but there's just something about the way Sonic 2 plays. There's just something about that. Just the levels I really enjoy. I loved, the pseudo, 3D bonus, Chaos Emerald sections.
Oh, oh man, that was cool.
Yeah, that I think is what does it for me. But then, knowing later the whole Hidden Palace Zone thing. I bought Sonic 2 on my Android because of those levels, because I wanted to play those.
Hmm.
And
Wait,
they are enjoyable.
which levels are these again?
Hidden Palace. The Hidden Palace Zone. It's like one level, a couple of fans, made them.
Oh,
Because you remember, there is the game trailer show Pop Fiction?
yeah, I do.
There's a whole thing on Sonic 2 about the Hidden Palace Zone. It looks like, it was some content that was just, cut out. You could still access just a mess of a stage, but like the stage, Hidden Palace Zone Act 1, it's in there. There's music for the stage that's on the cartridge. It's just a level. There's a prototype that has it in a more finished state. So it looks like it got cut out. And there's also some levels that were in the concept stage that didn't make it far at all. But yeah, it's kind of fun. There's one thing that pissed me off about that episode, though. It said that the levels were shown on the Nick Arcade, the game show.
Yes, I was going to talk about that.
Yeah. I don't remember seeing it. They did have a Sonic 2 on there. No one played them, though. At least the episodes I managed to dig up from the internet.
Mm-hmm.
I can only find like 64 out of the 80-some episodes that were the ones that ran on Nick Gas. There were some other ones that I guess are lost in time, sadly. But, yeah. But it's cool that, the Android release, I'm hoping they do it with like if they can do it with the 360 and PS3 versions. I would love to be able to full-blown play that on my TV, but that's great that a couple of fans that basically resurrected these levels. It's really cool.
And it's funny you should mention about Sonic 2 being played on Nick Arcade. I remember when that game was shown, and one of the kids ran over and they were going to play it, and it was the first stage, first act,
right?
The game, but it was the music they used in the background was from the Starlight Zone from the first game.
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, go back and I mean, I don't know if you can find that episode online.
It might be one of the ones that ran there. I don't know. Considering they ran like good 3/4. There's a 3/4 of the series they ran on Nick Gas. Mm-hmm. There are some episodes, unless people come out and they have these tapes that have these lost episodes on them, I don't think we'll be able to see them again. That is just crazy.
Yeah, and I remember that as clear as day. And I was like, okay, so they're just going to be using music from the first game and put it in the second one. But then I later on heard that it was actually a prototype that they were playing, an unlicensed prototype.
Yeah. They obviously had some deal worked out with Sega where they could play, they could showcase the prototype because they did it. The game definitely got some publicity because of that game show.
Yeah.
But, I mean, Sonic 2, the first game was already a household name at that point.
Oh, of course.
But there was definitely, some excitement like, oh man, there's a new Sonic game coming out. This is going to be great. And yeah, I mean, yeah, they use Starlight. I guess they use Starlight Zone music. That's not like that's going to be in the game, It obviously was just some kind of prototype placeholder, I guess you could put it.
Yeah. But, yeah, I remember seeing that and I thought, oh, this is going to be so cool. And luckily enough, when New Year's Day came around in 1992, my mom actually rented the game for my brother and I to play. And, oh, my gosh. I mean, it was great at the beginning. It's like, oh, cool, here's this new character, Tails, that gets to tag along with you. But then I realized the game is not fun if you're playing by yourself and you have Tails tagging along because if he takes damage, he actually loses some of your rings. Yeah. And I hated that. But,
I mean, I just play a Sonic only, especially for the bonus stages. Because there's a bit of it, like Sonic will jump and Tails will jump, so it throws off your timing. Let's put it that way.
Exactly. I mean, it's great for playing 2 players, but now, whenever I play the game, it's just Sonic. That's an excellent choice.
Sonic games were something I never owned myself, but every time I played them, they're so enjoyable. So enjoyable games.
Oh, I totally agree.
Mm.
There's something about them. I would say they'd be timeless, but there's a lot of Sonic games after Sonic Adventure 2 came out that where Sonic had some really shit games that came out.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, well,
but
at least he's finally recovered because there's a lot of ones that are come out now. I heard Sonic Colors was really good. Sonic Generations is great.
it is awesome. I
So
love
he's
Sonic
start Sonic
Generations.
is starting to recover, but yeah, there were some games that were what's when it's like Sonic and the Secret Rings on the Wii, where you use like tilt the Wii remote, like
I hated that.
that was weird. Okay,
I hated that, and then what? Sonic and the Black Knight, which basically operated the same way. I'm like, this is not fun.
this is not Sonic. Okay,
Mm.
But oh, jeez.
of course
But yeah,
they're gimmicking the hell out of the Wii controller. I mean when they got motion controls right from at least one of the games I played was Skyward Sword. Wii Motion Plus. I actually pre-ordered the collector's edition for that because I need the gold Wii Remote Plus. That was yeah. It's a really cool looking Wii remote though. I like it. But yeah, that Wii Motion Plus, that's what motion controls should be. That was it was motion controls before that, but it was still kind of waggle. This was full. You swing to the left, you swing your sword. It's just so natural. It was nice.
yeah, a lot of people give that game a lot of flack and just making it seem like Skyward Sword wasn't that great of a Zelda game, but I liked it. I mean, I don't see what the problem is. I mean, yeah, so you're swinging your Wii remote like you're swinging your sword. Oh, big friggin' whoop! What do you expect? It's on the Wii. It's still fun though. I love it. But let's see here. So I guess my second pick would be Doom.
Hmm.
Not Doom 2 or the other one. Although I will say Doom 3 is pretty fucking sweet. I will say that. But the first Doom, awesome. This is basically what really, I mean, I would say that revolutionized first person shooters. It actually kind of started back just a little bit further back with Wolfenstein in 3D, but Doom really brought first person shooters into the spotlight. And we've had first person shooters ever since. But this game, I mean, we've played some graphic games in the past, but this was really hardcore. I mean, you were shooting zombies, alien monsters. At one point, the game actually goes to hell. I mean, this game had a lot of
Oh,
it
Doom,
was,
man.
oh my gosh. And that game was like on so many systems. Started out as a PC game, naturally. Then they tried to port it to different consoles. I mean, they tried to do it with the Super Nintendo, which they used the Super FX chip in order to make the game work. Because this game had a lot of stuff going on, but try to get like the drawing distances going on with all the corridors and all this stuff.
Mhm.
It was an okay port, but it was very slow and very choppy. The music was great though, and it came on the red cartridge. And then that they released it for the 32X, which played a little bit better, but the music, of course, since this is on a Sega Genesis system, it sounded like shit. But all the sound effects were there, and then there was ports to the PlayStation, the Saturn, and then of course later on is on iOS systems like the iPhones, iPads, and everything. But it's something about Doom that has such a timeless feel to it, even though graphically it is very dated, but it is so much fun to this very day. Thoughts, anybody?
Oh God, it's been so long since I even touched Doom. I played Doom so briefly as a kid. First time I played it, I was maybe 6, and I remember it being quite terrifying to a 6-year-old.
Yeah,
I
especially if
think
you
I
had
could
the
have left
lights
it.
off.
Yeah, yeah. I think I kind of left it at that after that one. After that one.
Oh, man,
Then I went into
Doom.
platform gaming that was less terrifying.
One of the granddaddies of video game violence.
Yes, definitely.
That and Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
Pixel blood everywhere.
hmm Looking now, that game is so tame.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh
Think about
God, is it?
hmm But man, did that stir up shit. I mean, Mortal Kombat was one of the reasons we have a rating system now. But
This
it's
game's
funny.
like-
Oh, I love Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
so
funny,
much
you
love.
know, every time when especially in the US, there's like a mass shooting every other day, it seems like. And
Yeah.
instead of, trying to like the NRA are a bunch of fuckheads anyway, because they push, we need more guns, more guns. But it's like, let's not blame the guns. Let's not blame, the mental health, situation in the country. Let's blame video games. And it's like
That or heavy metal. It's one or the other. It's
Yeah.
either heavy metal or video
It's like-
games.
It's just media altogether.
I know it's
Yeah.
coming, especially from your, right wing Fox News types. Like, there was one that happened in a military base, and they were trying to blame Grand Theft Auto 5, but the shooting happened the day before the game came out.
Idiots.
Oh my god!
Idiot journalism brought to you by Fox News.
Yeah, and they can get away with it because no one, the people that just exclusively watch Fox News are not the smartest people on the fucking planet. They're not even in the bottom. They're like not even in the top 99 percentile of intelligence. Okay, but it's coming. It's like anytime like another Pokemon game comes out, here's PETA. Someone trying to attention whore off of it, and it's like, okay. I gotta stop ranting because I'm starting to really get an idea of a lot of shit I hate. Idiots, right-wing idiots, PETA, guys like Jack Thompson. I hate stupid people. Let's put it that way.
I tell you, this is what I like to do. Put everybody that's in Fox News, affiliated with Fox News, and Kanye West, put them all in a rocket and shoot it to the sun. That's what I want to see happen.
Actually, leave Kanye. He actually owns a very distinct honor. He's the only man to ever be called a jackass by the president of the United States.
Yes, but we need to stop Kanye making music. That's just awful. Just awful.
I'd sooner let Kanye make music than Bieber.
I'd rush as soon as Kanye and Bieber just got,
Can we get rid of both, please?
Well, here, never underestimate the power of stupid people in large numbers. I mean,
Exactly.
Why do you think Keeping Up with the Kardashians is still on? Because people fucking watch it. They finally axed Honey Boo Boo, not because it's god-awful shit, but because the mother's dating a pedophile who molested her daughter 10 years ago.
Oh, God.
Explain that.
Who wants to explain it? I mean, it's like angels finally came down upon heaven and relieved the heavy burden, which is, here comes Honey Boo Boo.
Yeah.
All right. Moving away from that.
Yeah.
Back to the topic at hand. Yeah, we really need to pick up the pace here because we're only now going on to the third game. So, Annina, you're next.
My third game is Beyond Good and Evil.
I had the game. I never played it. I won it in a contest. I regret not finishing it.
Fantastic adventure game.
Tell us all
Adventure
about
puzzle. Great adventure puzzle game where you're a journalist and you need to find you need to take pictures and find evidence of this evil company doing evil things.
So you're basically an intern.
Beautiful cartoon, slightly anime-esque graphics. And you don't have any weapons. You only have your camera. And you have this armband that shoots what looks like CDs out of it. And so you use it to make distractions. You use it to break things, but you have no actual weapons. So very stealthy as well.
Okay, awesome.
Great game. You need to play Beyond Good and Evil.
I think that's now on the PSN, if I'm not mistaken. I think it is.
Hope so, because I haven't played it since my PS2. So if it's on the PSN, I will definitely upload it onto our PS3.
There you go.
And have another go. Because I never did finish it. unfortunately. I never did get a chance to finish it.
I never played it, so yeah, I gotta look into that for sure.
Highly, highly enjoyable. Again, I like the fact you don't have a weapon and you have to be really smart with what you do. Otherwise, you get caught in a second
Very
by scary, guards with guns and armor.
okay. Well, that sounds like it's a really cool game. What do you think of it, Nick? Have you played Beyond Good and Evil?
No, I haven't.
Mm.
All right, so yeah, definitely a recommendation brought to you by I Got Gameplay via
Yeah.
Annina.
Beyond Good and Evil.
Yeah, you got to check that game out, Beyond Good and Evil. So, Nick, what's your third pick?
This is like a lot of these games I'm gonna have on here are from the PS2 and they're in series.
All
So
right.
I was trying to pick one. So with the Jack and Daxter series, I'm gonna go with Jack 3. And I love that whole series.
Yeah, I like that series.
Some of
Haven't played every single one, but they are good series.
But I gotta go with Jack 3 just because that was really like the first game was really good. The second game was really good, but like the third one, I think was just on a different level. I think.
I found it really difficult. The third one
Yeah.
is really, really hard.
Yeah, definitely.
Compared
The
to part two.
2 and 3 were really hard, but I think with 3, like the challenge isn't unfair. It's probably the most polished of the games, and as good as that series is, I'll tell you that. I hated the damn fishing stage in the first game. I'll tell you that. I hated it.
I hated it too.
I was really good at it.
Yeah.
So I didn't mind.
But like the first game had it was more of like a bright and happy-go-lucky kind of tone to it. The second and third games were a lot darker.
Yeah,
But the
I
third
remember
one,
that.
when you get kicked out of the city, and it's just like it turns into this. It's almost like what was that in Judge Dredd, where you get kicked out of the city into the like whatever it is, the desert.
Yeah.
And that's what it kind of reminds me of. But it's just probably I would say it's the best of that trilogy, the third game. Yeah.
It makes me wish they would actually reintroduce Jack and Daxter to the modern consoles. I mean, I think they did like an HD collection of those games.
They did. They did an
Okay.
HD collection for Sly Cooper, which I have on both the PS3 and the Vita.
Mm-hmm.
And I've actually, platinumed both those collections.
Cool.
I've also platinumed Sly 4.
Awesome.
Yeah, on the Vita. Because I got the PS3 version of the game, and it came with a copy for the Vita. I just got the Vita earlier this year. Like, it was with my tax return, so it would have been February.
Okay.
So yeah, I walked to the mall, and it's like below zero, fucking freezing cold out. Just the day I got my tax return, just to get the frickin' Vita. But yeah, Sly 4, platinum that, and I still need to go through and try and I think I platinumed Jack and Daxter, and I've platinumed Ratchet and Clank.
Oh yeah.
So
Those
I'm
games.
on to the second games on those, but they're just
Cool.
awesome. They were awesome games. But I would love to see a Jack 4. I mean, they're still releasing, Ratchet and Clank games, which is great
Yes.
that series is still around.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Maybe if there's enough demand from the fans, maybe Sony would consider it, but time will only tell.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, Jack 3 is my game.
And my third game I'm going to choose. Now, here's the thing. I love light gun shooter games, which we've already talked about earlier when I mentioned how Duck Hunt was coming to the Wii U Virtual Console. But there's this one light gun series that I am absolutely in love with, and it's a Sega property, and it is House of the Dead. But the one I'm choosing here, because A, I played the first one in the arcade, and played the second one on the Dreamcast. Did not play the third one, but I did play House of the Dead Overkill, which is my absolute favorite of the series. And that's on my list because one thing some people who don't know me, I'll share something with you. I love these old school exploitation movies that were popular in the 60s and the 70s and the early 80s. There's like over the top violence and gore in some of these movies. And there's grindhouse films. And that's what this game was modeled off of these grindhouse films of that time frame, and you could tell that they spent a lot of time trying to emulate that look because there's lots of film scratches, some graininess, and imperfections as the game was being played, and also the music was super cheesy, which is again an emulation of those grindhouse movies back in the day. But it's still a House of the Dead game through and through, and this is basically a prequel to the whole series. You play the agent who's on his first assignment, and he's trying to eradicate all the mutants, quote unquote, that are in this southern plantation area, and they go into the mansion there, and it goes to a swamp, the hospital. What makes this interesting is each level is basically a movie, and it has some pretty. There's a lot of swearing in this game. I think that at the time it held the world record for the most f bombs in one game. But that's not what drew me to it. It was just the fact that I loved grindhouse movies and I loved House of the Dead, so I thought this was like a perfect marriage. It's like having peanut butter and chocolate together.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just an awesome, awesome game, and I've got a copy of it. My fiance Courtney, she's got a copy of it. It's just a fucking awesome game, and it's also out for the PS3. They can use a PlayStation Move with that, and it's a director's cut, which actually has better graphics, and I think they put in maybe a couple of additional levels. But the one thing about the Wii version, unfortunately, it has a glitch in the game where you will never, no matter what you do, you will never get 100% completion in the game because of a glitch. So I think that's why they re-released it for the PlayStation 3 as a director's cut, because they fixed all the problems. Thoughts about that game?
I unfortunately am not familiar with that game. So
what you should do is there is a trailer for the game that's on YouTube. Just look up House of the Dead Overkill trailer, and even the trailer was made up to look like a Grindhouse movie trailer. It is so cool.
Sounds really interesting. I'll have a look.
Yeah, House of the Dead, that's like a light gun shooter, right?
Yeah, it's Sega's granddaddy of all light gun shooters. I think that's the only light gun shooter that they're known for. I think. Don't quote me on that.
Okay. I mean, I'm kind of interested in. I'm probably would just go for it on like the PS3 and get like the Move.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, that'd be a game I'd want to have the Move for. It'd be great for light gun shooters, which you should see more of on the PSN. But
yeah, hopefully they would do the same thing for the PS4, because I mean it's a dying genre, light gun shooters, but come on, there's still a lot of fun today. Even going to an arcade and playing Area 51, that game is fucking crazy, and I love playing that whenever I get to an arcade. I even got that on the PlayStation.
Area 51, I think I remember playing that. It was funny because we don't have an actual. I think we have one arcade, and I saw that in there. It's downtown. It's like way on like north end of town. But I remember seeing it in a bar called the Skyline, and this was before they closed because they had a lot of problems with underage drinking. But yeah, I remember seeing it in there, and I'd be really just hammered, and I'd dick around playing it for the hell of it because I didn't care. But yeah, that's a cool one. Yeah, too bad arcades are a thing of the past, because there's a lot of those games that. Speaking of arcade games, they need to release Sunset Riders on Xbox Live Arcade and PSN.
I think they should too. I missed out on that game as well, but yeah, it looks really cool. And I think, from what I understand, the Genesis version is slightly better than the Super Nintendo one. From what I heard, I might be wrong.
The Super Nintendo game, the one is more of a direct arcade port.
Oh, okay.
The Genesis one was built from the ground up. It's the same license, but there's a lot of liberties. There's a lot of things changed.
Oh, okay.
And I guess it's a little easier. But yeah,
Okay.
great game.
Well, yeah. Well, I hope they do. At some point, do that. But let's go on to the fourth pick. And Annina, what have you got? What have you got? I can't talk.
I have probably an unconventional choice again. That seems to be my theme. I would go to. I would pick Tetris.
Okay, that's cool. Tetris is awesome.
I love that game. I was a bit of a child guru at Tetris, and I just think sometimes you need something, especially on this island, you need something simple
Oh
but
yeah.
engaging. And Tetris is something that I don't think ever gets old. I don't
It
think
it,
it ever gets old.
that game has
And
been
maybe you
around for
get fancy versions these days where you can do all sorts of things, but
yeah.
I like the old school, simple version. I'd pick Tetris, definitely.
That game has been around for 30 years. You realize that?
Yeah.
And
I
it's
had it
Crazy.
on the PC. I had it on the Game Boy. Just,
yeah.
just
I I got the game on the 3DS Virtual Console, the Game Boy version. I still have the NES game and all that. But
yeah.
well, we of course remember back in the around 1989, there was a bit of a controversy going on with that game. Atari was supposed to,
The developer of it, and
yeah. Well,
yeah,
what's
I remember that controversy.
yeah for those of you who go ahead.
Sorry.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, wasn't there the thing that he's gotten maybe like a tiny percentage of the actual revenue from the game, and it isn't licensed in any way.
That could very well be true because if he had a license of the game today, like a
Mm,
little more percentage of the license, dude could have been a fucking billionaire by
yeah.
now.
Hmm.
But what I was talking about is when the game was coming out for the Nintendo system, there was a bit of a controversy with that. Atari was at one point had the license to bring the game to the NES, and of course they're releasing it through their Tengen label. But then, and I guess Nintendo was going to release their version of Tetris because they were claiming they were the ones who had the copyright, the permission to release the game. And then they went to court and come to find out that Nintendo did have the license after all, and
Mm.
Atari was forced to take the game off the shelves, take the version off the shelves.
Mm.
And by the way, if anybody has a complete boxed edition of the Tengen version of Atari or of Tetris, that is a huge collectible. That's worth a lot of money.
Mm.
But yeah, Tetris. It's one of the easiest puzzle games, and it's also frustrating too. But it's so much fun.
Mm.
All right. So we'll move on to Nick. What's your fourth pick?
All right. On the Xbox 360, Brutal Legend. Yeah.
Yeah, let's hear it because that's a game that Jack Black voiced the main
Yes.
character, right?
Yes. He is this. He's basically a roadie for a band. He gets sucked into this Lord of the Rings metal world. The whole world revolves around music, rock music. So like the guy, like what was it? Ozzy Osbourne is the, I forget the name of the character. He's the like the Lord of the Dead. He's like the guy that you buy all your upgrades with your magic axe from. The
Cool.
soundtrack is all these just great rock tunes from Dragon Force to Lita Ford, to like Def Leppard, just all these classic rock songs. I mean, it's
Oh,
great.
dude.
It's third person action game. The humor is awesome. I still use the term cubic buttload to this day from that game.
Oh
but
my
it's one
gosh.
of those, like, all the imagery in the game, it's very, metal-esque, I guess you can put it. It's basically like a fantasy world. It's only like Lord of the Rings, just meet rock music. That's what it is. Like Lemmy from Motorhead is in it. It's one of
Oh
those
yeah.
games that is, it's great, but there's like a really weird glitch with it. Once you complete 84% of the game, if you like turn this, like if you back out of the game, you go play something else and then you come back or whatever it may be, you can't reload that save file.
Oh no.
Yeah. You have to go in, you have to start back at the last chapter you left off. So it would be kind of a bitch to get 100% on it and get that achievement, but if you got the time, go for it. This is one of those games you can find dirt cheap now.
Mm.
It's
Mm.
great.
And it's basically what I remember that since we already mentioned that Jack Black plays the main character, I also heard that Kyle Gass of Tenacious D is also in the game too.
I think so.
Yeah, I think he plays one of the I forgot what character. It's like a goblin or something.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't remember exactly, but because I haven't played the game, but when I heard that he was in it, I was thinking, oh, so basically it's a Tenacious D game. Well, really, it wasn't,
Mhm.
but I mean, if you're a Tenacious D fan and you're Jack Black fan, you love video games, this would be right up your alley. But then again, if you just love all these classic heavy metal bands and music,
Mhm.
then this is definitely
Yeah.
worth trying.
Yeah,
Good
some of the
choice.
bands that are in here are Diamond Head, Motorhead, Judas Priest, Marilyn Manson,
Oh yeah.
Ozzy, Lita Ford, Budgie Dark Tranquility, Black Sabbath, uh, Cabbage Boy, Kiss, Cradle of Filth, Megadeth, Scorpions, White
Ooh.
Snake, Motley Crue, Static X, Nitro, Tenacious D.
Oh, of course. There we go.
Yep. Rob
Oh.
Zombie, etc.
Oh
Great.
yes. You get. God, that okay. I got one of these someday in the future. I'm gonna have to track that down because that sounds like it's fucking cool.
Oh, it's great.
All
Yeah.
right, so my next choice. I'm a huge Castlevania fan. Of course, we already talked about Super Castlevania 4 being my favorite Castlevania game of all of them. So I kind of figured that was going to be chosen by somebody else. So, with that being said, the next Castlevania game that I really love a lot is Castlevania Bloodlines for the Sega Genesis.
Ooh. Okay.
That's that is that game. I mean, it's fun, but it just like any other Castlevania game, it is extremely hard. Even on the easy setting, it is hard. Um, and actually, this game, I mean, even though on Super Castlevania 4 you could actually whip in 8 different directions, you sort of can
Yeah.
whip in multiple directions in this game. You can whip, of course, forward, and you can sort of like whip diagonally up, to the right and to the left. You can't whip up or whip diagonally down, left or right, but you can whip downwards. But it's pretty limited. I would have loved if they would have just kept it as 8 different directions, but whatever. But regardless, this game was pretty cool. You can actually choose between 2 characters. You got John Morris and Eric Licard.
Right.
Each of them have their own different weapons to use in the game. John Morris uses the Vampire Killer Whip, and Eric Licard, he actually uses this staff.
Right.
Forgot what it is, but it can be upgraded to be a very powerful weapon, just like with Whip can be upgraded. But this game really did showcase some of the things that can be done on the Sega Genesis. The scaling in the game was incredible. Excellent music. I mean, even though the Genesis is known for churning out some very tinny, distorted
Hmm.
tunage with some of the games, this one actually did a fairly good job with its music. And actually, it's towards the end of the game, you actually get to hear Simon's theme from Super Castlevania 4 in this, and it's a really nice rendition. Um, but it's a really fun game, and what's really cool, well, I should say cool, what makes this game better here in the United States is it actually has the blood and gore in it. Because in any other territories, I think it's like in Australia, and I think it's also in Europe, they actually had to tone down some of those graphic things that were in the American released version. For one thing, they changed the name from the game to Castlevania: The New Generation, and on the title screen, you saw a pool of blood, and the blood was dripping from the logo. In this game, they actually turned that pool into a nice blue color with nothing dripping. And anything that was in the game that was bloody was removed. And anything that was religious or spiritual, they had to have that censored.
Mm-hmm.
So, regardless, it's still a fun game no matter where you're from, what version that you have. It's very hard, like I said before. And I came very close to finishing the game at some point, but I never did. But yeah, Castlevania Bloodlines. What are your thoughts on that?
I've messed around with it a little bit on an emulator. It's enjoyable. It's something I still need to pick up for the Genesis, because I do have this. I have a Genesis that I only picked up in the last year. I know I'm really late to the party on that one, but I got a Dreamcast before that. It was like, it's kind of me going through, kind of getting the systems I wanted as a kid but never had.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's definitely one of those games on my to get list. I mean, I managed to pick up Rocket Knight Adventures.
Oh, I saw that. How is it?
It's great. It's a
Cool.
great game.
Yeah.
Very
And-
enjoyable.
And I think going back to Castlevania here, I think it's one of those games where if you were to find it complete on eBay or something like that, you have to pay quite a bit of cash in order to get it.
Yeah.
And I'm actually one of the lucky ones who has it complete. But yeah, that's just one of the coolest games. Annina, have you ever played that game before, or the censored version, the new generation?
I get Castlevania games confused with each other. I've only played one of them on the PS2, so one of
Okay.
the more recent ones. I really enjoyed that one, but I haven't played the older ones, I'm afraid. Just because, yeah, they're hard to come by, and especially, well, back in the day when I lived in Finland, I saw that one Castlevania game. That's it. Like I didn't hear about that game series until I really moved to London. So that's the downside of living in a tiny country, is that we don't get everything.
Mhm.
They just no.
Well, I'm sorry that you. Basically, it sounds like you got cheated out of it because I think you would have enjoyed it.
I did, yeah.
Yeah. But thankfully, since we live in this digital age, you could do what Nick did and just download an emulator.
I think I will, because I do. Well, the one I played on the PS2, I love the gothicness, sort of gothic vibe of it.
Oh
That
yes.
really floats my boat.
There you go. But that's one of the games that was really struggling from the beginning when it was making that transition from 2D to 3D. Because of course I'm talking about Castlevania that came out on the Nintendo 64. It's like two different versions of it were released. You had the original, then you had Legacy of Darkness. Legacy of Darkness was supposed to have been like a re-released version of the original game. At least that's what I thought it was. But it actually had 4 characters in the game. But regardless, both the games still played like crap, from what I understand. Because I had the first game, it was terrible. But it wasn't until sometime in the PS2 era where they actually kind of made it work as a 3D game. And then, of course, we got Lords of Shadow and Lords of Shadow 2 that came out on the PS3, and I think it's on Xbox 360 if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, Castlevania Bloodlines, awesome game. So going, Nina, we're now heading into the middle of the road. What's your 5th pick?
My fifth pick is Final Fantasy X. And I know everyone says that their favorite one is Final Fantasy VII. Well, mine is 10.
Or
So
3.
suck it.
But
Well, well, actually,
I've never gotten my hands on 3.
okay. Now, before we continue,
Yeah.
now, Nick, are you talking about Final Fantasy VI?
yeah, 6 or 3 in the US. I know
Yeah.
the numbering system it's weird to think about, but I need to pick up the 10-10-2 HD collection.
I do too.
10-2, not that good, but 10 is fabulous.
I
Well,
played like the first chapter of 10-2.
10-2
I'm not
is
the biggest fan of action RPGs like that. Like
yeah,
what the battle like active battles, whatever it's called. That's
turn-based battle. I
yeah.
mean,
turn-based. Yeah.
Not turn based. Like active turn based. If you know what I mean, how 10-2 is.
Oh, I know what you mean. Because I like what they did with Parasite Eve.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
10 was
time-based.
straight turn based.
Yeah.
Classic. It had more of an active role in 10-2, which is okay, but like I'm not too like it's like weird, one of the weirdest spin-offs, sequel. They sequelized the sequel, but like 10 I really enjoyed though.
yes, 10 is great. So,
Yeah, I mean,
there.
take out the whiny main character, and if you don't think about the problems with the story, like, I enjoyed it for what it was. It was really
Exactly. I mean, don't look for something deep and meaningful in it.
yeah.
Do
It
you know what
was
I mean? It's
actually the first Final Fantasy game I ever played.
mine too. It was the first one, which is why people say, "Oh well, if you'd played, you know,
Mhm.
um, 6 first, yeah, I
Yeah.
probably would have enjoyed 6." But now going back to no 7. Oh, I'm getting confused now. Anyway,
Yeah.
I just don't enjoy it as much.
It's
I love 10. I love 10. I love Final Fantasy 10.
it's
There.
it yeah, it's interesting because I mean my first Final Fantasy experience was with Final Fantasy 3, aka Final Fantasy 6, because that's a game my brother had. And I think he paid like $90 for that game when it first came out.
Mm.
But that was my introduction to Final Fantasy because at the time I did not really enjoy RPG games. But then I came across this and I played it. I thought these games are actually pretty cool. And Final Fantasy VII, I bought that with my birthday money when that came out, or bought the strategy guide because I had a feeling I was going to need it. But yeah, but then when 10 came out, um, that was the first time that it was like every character was voiced. There were voices in this game for the first time. But I really, really hated the voice actor who played the main character.
See, Riku really got on my nerves. If you could have just left a party member, I would have left her.
Mhm.
I really would. I would have been like, I wanted that option. I was like, can we get rid of this annoying,
Yeah.
whiny,
jailbait.
Ricky girl? It's just
Yeah.
like, can I get rid of her, please?
Yeah.
I think the reason why I liked Riku is because she was voiced by Tara Strong.
Mm.
But I see where you're going because that was such an obnoxious character. There's some of those characters in that game who were just straight up obnoxious, I thought. But the game was
Auron
still
was the
fun.
badass though. Auron was the fucking badass.
He was cool. Lulu was my favorite because she was just.
The boob mage, black mage. Yeah. You ever
She was
watch
just like, I don't give a
Spoonie?
shit.
Watch
Like
the Spoonie one's review of Final Fantasy X. When he introduces
Good review.
yeah, he introduces Lulu's like the boom mage, a black mage. Tits jugs. I mean, it's just Lulu. Yeah. No wonder she became a witch. She must need a way to cure a spell to cure the lower back problems she has from hauling those memories around. Oh god. But yeah.
But that's a good pick though. Final Fantasy X, that was actually pretty sweet. I still got that game in the collection, and one day I'll get to revisit that. But yeah, Awesome. So let's go on with Nick with your fifth choice.
Okay. This one's gonna be a really like oddball. I wouldn't say oddball one, but like with the ones we've been talking about, this completely comes out of left field. But UFC Undisputed 3.
Let's hear it.
Okay, I'm a big UFC MMA fan. When I found out that I walked into a GameStop one day and I saw they were taking pre-orders for UFC Undisputed 2000 UFC Undisputed 2009. So obviously I put my money down and I pre-ordered it and I absolutely loved it. I mean, we hadn't with how big UFC is, now and how big it was getting. Like now around Montana, MMA is really big. We do our own. We have our own promotion that runs, MMA fights. Oddly enough, one of the guys that was signed to Bellator a few years ago, I went to high school with. So yeah, one of the guys I graduated high school with was fighting got on Bellator, which is the second biggest MMA promotion in the country. But 2009 came and gone, and then 2010 they improved it, and then when Undisputed 3 came out, that is the best UFC game that has come out. And they had done UFC games before. They were more, arcadey style fighting games. But by the time the Undisputed series came down, they were very technical. They were very polished, very well done. And Undisputed 3 is amazing. And I'm probably going to end up, because I'm picking up EA UFC when I get the Xbox One. So I'll obviously, and that's the reason that all of a sudden I need to start getting a push to get an Xbox One, because it's only released on PS4 and Xbox One. It's not on 360 or PS3. But
Yeah.
when THQ went under, EA picked up the UFC license. 2K got the WWE license. I still need to pick up South Park Stick of Truth. I still see the collector's editions in GameStop. They have a few of them in there that I need to pick up because I want that Cartman statue.
I've wanted to get that Cartman bust as well, but I just picked up the game itself, and trust me, you're gonna love it.
Yeah.
I mean, because if you that should have been on my list, South Park: The Stick of Truth, because that game. I mean, seriously, it looks just like you're playing watching an episode of the show. It is that gorgeous of a game. But yeah, you gotta check that out. It is so damn good.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, UFC Undisputed 3. That's one of those games that it's it could be a competitive fighting game if you think about it. Because there's a lot, it's very technical. There's a lot to learn. I mean, it's not like fast paced like Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat or Killer Instinct. It's a really well done, polished game.
It is
a lot to learn. It's fairly easy to pick up and play, but very difficult to master. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I mean that's a lot of those types of games like UFC, and even like when EA was releasing those Fight Night games, those boxing games, people would just think you're just throwing punches, but no, there's a lot of strategy that's involved. But I think it's one thing that EA excels at when they make all these games, is they always try to find ways to implement strategy where you're not just going in thinking it's going to be a button masher. No, you have to actually use your head.
Yeah. I mean, and that's that's what made Mike Tyson's Punch Out series so great. Is it's not a button masher. There's a lot to know. You got to know what the hell you're doing, or you're gonna get knocked the fuck out.
Exactly. And it's funny you should mention that, because I was playing Super Punch Out. That game, oh my gosh, that's really hard. It's harder than Mike Tyson's Punch Out. And you're talking to a guy who actually has beat Mike Tyson on numerous occasions.
God damn it. I can't even do that. Fucking hell.
When I was a kid, I could easily just whip through that game and all that. But now I've gotten older. I mean, I don't have that game any longer, but I've got the one featuring Mr. Dream, which is basically just a reskin Mike Tyson, which is a reskin of Piston Honda.
Right.
But I can't defeat Mr. Dream. I don't know if they just changed it or whatnot, but I can't beat Mr. Dream. So might have to do that as a Let's Play in the future. But anyways, my fifth choice. I was trying to think of what Mario game to throw in here, but on the list I did for Desert Island games, I actually chose one of my favorite Mario games of all time. This was my second choice, and it's Mario Kart 64.
Okay.
This was
classic game.
What's that?
Classic game.
Oh, in every sense of the word.
Yeah.
This was to this day, I still think this is. I still regard this as my favorite Mario Kart game. Even though the Mario Kart games have always been in 3D, this one was even bigger in terms of scope and design because it was taking advantage of the things that the Nintendo 64 could do. No longer were you on like a flat plane, just turning the screen to move your character around. You were actually going up hills and going off cliffs and all that stuff. And in some occasions, you might even fall off the Rainbow Road if you're not careful. But this game was just fucking crazy. I loved every second of it. The minute it was released, I went down to my local Target, slapped down the cash, and I said, I want Mario Kart 64. Took it home, and oh my gosh, that game just... I still get chills when the screen comes on and I hear, "Welcome to Mario Kart." It's just like, oh god, yes, I'm going to be playing one of my favorite Mario Kart games of all time. So it was just great. And the game was supposed to have been called, when the game was being developed, it was going to be called Super Mario Kart R. But at the same time, Sega was coming out with Sonic R for the Sega Saturn. Oh, that game was horrible. So I guess to avoid lawsuit, they decided to go ahead and just simply call it Mario Kart 64 because most of the games that came out on the Nintendo 64 had that number followed by the title. Or this title followed by that number.
Yeah.
But yeah, awesome game. And then you still see a lot of the later Mario Kart games when they come out with these retro tracks. They redesigned some of the Mario Kart 64 tracks and they look awesome today. But I just like the original game a little bit better. What do you guys think of it? Mario Kart 64.
Great game.
Fantastic. Yeah, just great game. There's I can't think of a bad thing to say or even a neutral thing to say. It's just great.
It's a classic for a reason.
Exactly.
Nick, what do you think?
You own a 64, you gotta own Mario Kart 64. There's really nothing else to say. It's one of those racing games that, I mean, it's great. Cause what I really love, I love Mario Kart. I love Mario Kart 7. I love Mario Kart 8. I never got to play like double. I played a little bit of Mario Kart on the Wii. I remember playing that. I didn't really play Double Dash. I did play 64, but I enjoy it. There have always been well done, well designed racing games.
I totally agree. And I can't think of one Mario Kart game that really sucked. Because the first Mario Kart game that came out, Super Mario Kart, I mean, hands down, that is the hardest game of all of them in the franchise. I mean, trying to try to unlock like the special cup in that game, you have to basically endure a lot of shit and hell just to do that because your ultimate goal is to get 100% completion in the game and also to race on Rainbow Road, which is a challenge all in itself, just trying to race on that track because there's no barriers, nothing to try to keep you in there. You have to be careful, otherwise you're going to fall off the track. And trying to race that on 150cc is, I mean, it's hair pulling, to say the least, because I can't, for the life of me, I mean, I've actually completed the game, but just to try to race that 150cc, you have to have reflexes like a fucking cat in order to get through it. So Mario Kart 64, awesome game. Moving on now, we'll try to pick up the paces a little bit here. Annina, what is your sixth pick? I'm sorry. Wait. Sixth. That's right. Yeah, sixth.
Yeah.
What you got?
My sixth one. Thank you. My sixth one is Okami.
Ooh, good choice.
Okami is special. Well, I tried the Wii version first, and I absolutely fell in love with it. But just story, graphics, just everything. The dynamic, just everything.
Melts in your mouth, not in your hand.
Mm.
Oh, I've played the original version and I thought it was really sweet. I didn't get around to playing the Wii version. But a little fun fact there before we get Nick's opinion about the game. Um, I remember when the game was first came out, there was a problem with the cover of the game. It had an IGN watermark that was on the dog. It was very faint, but you could see the IGN
Yeah.
watermark on it. So that led to some speculations that somehow IGN was involved with the game or something. But I thought, ooh, okay, that's the first time I've ever seen a magazine publications logo on a box on the front cover of a game. So I thought that was kind of strange. But Nick, what do you think of that game?
Okay, which game is this? I kind of drifted out there for a second.
Okami.
Okami. I really have no opinions on it because I've never played it.
Oh, you're
So-
missing out.
All right, so since he hasn't played it, try selling it to him.
Um, I'm so bad at this. I'm like the worst salesperson on the planet. Imagine a game where everything looks like a Japanese painting, and you are a wolf god, and you have to make the world alive again. And you battle these demons, and you're basically a wolf. So your weapons are you have beads or you have swords, but you also can poo and pee on people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sold.
Your poo is your weapon.
Yes.
Exactly. And you can also, there's a button just for barking, and barking does nothing. And that I just find that really nice that there's just a button that does no
That's like
reason.
the crotch grabbing from Moonwalker.
Yeah.
Just oh, crotch grabbing like no reason other than Michael Jackson does it.
Yeah. Explosive poo. That's your reason to play Okami.
Sold.
All right. Okay, so Nick, what's your sixth pick?
All right. Let's see. A Link to the Past.
Oh yeah, there's no argument here. That's an awesome game.
Oh yeah, one of those great. I mean, the first time I really played it was the Game Boy Advance remake, so I spent a lot of time to and from school on the bus playing that sucker. So that is one of those games that is just amazing. It's one of honestly, if you have a Super Nintendo and you don't own that, rectify that immediately. I know a lot of people will say, including one of my fellow co-hosts from the users and on Hey Listen, will say his favorite game is Ocarina of Time. So, Chrono, there's a little shout out there if he's even listening. Yeah, but yeah, he loves Ocarina of Time. And there be people. I remember we had a Bracy, Retro Snow on one time, and we were talking about like the differences going from 2D to 3D. So we're talking about like Super Castlevania 4, going Symphony of the Night, stuff like that. And I remember saying, I mean, as much as I love, Symphony of the Night, I gotta say I like Super Castlevania 4 better. It just seems like those early 3D games, they were done well. I mean, they hold up. But there's something about how that classic 2D was. And I mean, that game is so good. They remade, not only did they, port it over like the Game Boy Advance stuff like that. But I still need to play A Link Between Worlds
I do
on the
too.
3DS. Man, I'm so far behind. I mean, with that, money has just been so fucked for like, especially for the last what, almost a year. I would say it's just been it's been a really weird year, just money wise, jobs, shit like that. So I haven't gotten to play a lot of the games that have come out that I wanted to play. So like A Link Between Worlds, Bayonetta 2, I still need to pick up.
Yeah.
So stuff like
Yeah.
yeah, A
It's
Link to
interesting.
the Past. Period. There's
No question. It's interesting that you should mention that about Link to the Past and Ocarina of Time. Have you checked out Eagle Raptor's
yes,
sequelitis episode?
yeah,
Yeah. Um, that for a video that's like over 30 minutes long. Such an intricate discussion about both those games. And if anybody who hasn't seen that, I mean, you're missing out because Aaron Hansen, aka Eagle Raptor, he has such a intricate goes in such
yeah,
detail about both of these games and why they work in their own fields. And of course, he's always dissing on Skyward Sword, but whatever. But yeah, Link to the Past. I think between those two, that's the one I would always play because it's. I think that I get a better Zelda experience from that game than I do with Ocarina of Time. I know that's kind of controversial to
Well, yeah,
say,
I mean, I
but
really like Ocarina of Time. I love it on the 3DS. I mean, will I ever maybe go back and play the one on the N64? Maybe, if I'm in that kind of mood. But it seems like just with how well, Ocarina of Time was remade, how beautiful that game is, and I guarantee you, Majora's Mask is gonna look a lot better. I mean, now that the 3DS has been out a couple years, developers really know how to program for that system, and they're really going to start to know how to get the most out of it. So we're really, with Majora's Mask 3D, we're really going to start to see what that system is capable of.
exactly. And of course, Nintendo is coming out with another 3DS system here in the states the beginning of next year, which actually makes the 3D portion of the system a hell of a lot better. What better way to celebrate that than with Majora's Mask?
Wait,
So
that new 3DS comes out the beginning of 2015?
that's what I have heard of what I'm understanding,
Hmm.
and it's going to be great because finally I'd be able to play 3D games on that system where I don't have to have it at a fixed poor viewing, have it fixed in front of my face at a certain way. Because if anybody has a 3DS, they know this. If you put it in 3D mode, if you just move it a little bit out of
Yeah.
move it a little bit, you're not in. It's not 3D. It
How
looks
much is it supposed
tiny.
to be, the system, the new 3DS?
I think it's going to be about 200. I think it is, but it's
Okay.
also going to have a little circle button that's going to be on there. It's actually like the circle pad that was supposed to be. That was it's
The
supposed.
Circle Pad Pro thing?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and
Yeah,
we
I mean, and what I understand is not just that they're adding the second circle pad and the extra buttons, is that it's going to be more powerful. It's going to be more processing power, stuff like that.
supposed to make the games run a little bit load a little bit faster. And there's only going to be and there's going to be some games that are going to be exclusive to that version of the system
Right.
that won't play on any other 3DS
Right. I know
units. Which
Xenoblade is one of them. So,
yes,
like, I
and
didn't jump on the XL. I didn't care. I'm happy with my little, blue 3DS I bought in 2011, about a month before Mario 3D Land came out. It's
yeah,
well worn, well used, but I enjoy it.
yeah,
But Nintendo's given me it's not like, I mean, when I went from like the Game Boy Advance to the Game Boy Advance SP, it was just because of the backlight, and I was fine with that. The backlight and all that. But like I had the DS Lite, I was happy. I didn't care about the DSi or DSi XL. I got the 3DS. I didn't care about the 3DS XL. Mostly because I didn't know about about transferring all my stuff over, so I didn't know how that was gonna work.
yeah,
But I mean, the new 3DS, you're giving me upgraded hardware, you're giving me more processing power, you're giving me a second analog stick deal. You're also gonna throw in games that are only gonna be playable on that. So if you end up like, I'm not too interested in Xenoblade, to be honest. But if they,
right,
throw like a Mario game or something, or they throw, Zelda or whatever it may be that is exclusive and it's only going to be playable on that system, well, you sold me. They've sold me on the new 3DS. Period. I should be able
I
to play Kid Icarus Uprising. That's another game I need to fucking play.
Oh, that's going to be awesome on that system when you think about it,
Yeah,
especially.
second
Yeah.
analog stick. I don't have to get the stupid Circle Pad Pro or whatever. So.
And like I said, the 3D is going to be vastly improved, so that's going to be great.
It's great.
But if Nintendo happened to be listening, I was saying earlier that I would like to play Super Mario Sunshine again. If you guys could port that to the 3DS, I would be eternally grateful. Just saying. But we'll move on to my sixth pick, and this one's going to come completely out of left field. I'm a huge fan of Batman. Okay, I love the universe. I love the characters. My favorite villain, actually, villain couple is the Joker and Harley Quinn.
Mine too.
There we go. In fact, if I were to have a dinner party with those two invited, they would be sitting next to me and my fiance. Just saying. But there's one particular game that I love. Now, when Batman Returns, when that movie came out, there was different types of versions of that game that came on different systems. It was on the the Sega Master System, the Genesis, Super Nintendo, and Sega CD. But the Super Nintendo version, this isn't the one I picked. I didn't pick this one. This one was a little different because it acted like a beat 'em up, which is pretty cool, like an arcade beat 'em up like Final Fight. That's a really great game. But the one I actually chose, and this is really crazy, I know for a lot of people, so I'm going to get a lot of hate for this. I actually chose the Sega CD version of Batman Returns for a couple of reasons. Number one, it had exclusive driving levels,
Okay.
which is really cool. You couldn't get that on the Sega Genesis, the Genesis version of the game. Although there was some driving in the Super Nintendo game, it was all right. But another thing that really sold me on the Sega CD version of the game is the soundtrack. Oh god, that soundtrack just
That was the great thing about the Sega CD is that you could get higher quality music. So
of
like you
course.
had games like for anything, like Sonic CD had really great music. You had Batman Returns, the music was better. I know there was Adventures of Batman and Robin. That was released on like the Super Nintendo and Sega CD and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That had kind of a beat 'em up, and it was based on the animated series, which was fucking awesome.
Yes, it was. And I actually got the Adventures of Batman and Robin on the Sega CD, and that's just a straight up driving game. Nothing wrong with it. It's hard, but what made that game really cool is that exclusive animation segments that were made for that game.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a lot of fun to play. But Batman Returns for the Sega CD, I freaking love it. It's
Batman
a difficult
on the
game.
NES. That's probably one of my favorite Batman games.
I've never played that. I want a copy of that so
It's
fucking
brutal.
bad.
It's absolutely fucking brutal. It's brutally hard. It's unlimited continues though, which is great. But the Joker is will fucking kick your ass till diarrhea comes out your dick. Okay.
I actually saw James and Mike play that game on the Sin Massacre YouTube channel, and I actually learned how to beat the Joker. So there we go.
Yeah, that is great. I think it was like Mike's. Like they only do like one more time before he had to leave, and they fucking did it, which is great. I did that game for my summer backlog challenge. I did that. I did Zelda 2. I did Double Dragon 2, and I think I had I can't remember what the other two games I had. I think I had Soul Sacrifice on the Vita and Pitfall: The Mind Adventure. But I got through Zelda 2, I got through Double Dragon 2, and I got through Batman, which I'm happy about. I got through some of the harder games.
It's interesting that at the time when the games came out with like the second game or the sequel is vastly different than the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyways, moving on to our seventh pick, Annina, what have you got for your seventh pick?
Seventh pick. Let me see. My My seventh pick is Oddworld, Abe's Exodus.
Yes, someone chose an Oddworld game.
I love that game so much. I bought that game as what was I, 12? And I just bought it purely because of the cover. I thought, oh, he looks cute. I'll buy this. And it was brilliant. Really hard game.
Yes. Oh my
Quite
gosh.
scary for a low rating. It was quite disturbing because they had their mouths and their eyes sewn together.
Mm-hmm.
Such a good game. Such a good game.
Yeah, I got Abe's Odyssey, Abe's Exodus, and recently bought Munch's Odyssey when that became available on the PSN and
Oh, I
HD.
haven't tried the Munch's Odyssey yet.
You've got to play it.
Is it good? Is it good?
Very good, very very good. And they also have oh geez, there's a fourth Oddworld game is Wrath. What the hell's the name of it? There's fourth Oddworld game which also got an 80 HD remaster, and I think that's also on the PSN and Xbox Live Arcade. But it's a first-person shooter, but the weapons that they use are actually furry creatures or different animals that you use to shoot at other beings.
Oh yeah, I did see I saw a
Stranger's Wrath.
teaser
That's
trailer.
it.
Yeah, I saw a teaser trailer for that ages ago. Looks really bizarre, but in a good way.
Well, that's Oddworld for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I will vouch those games are extremely difficult, but very rewarding too. Especially if you manage to save all of them Dawkins, you get like the best ending. Nick, have you played any of those Oddworld games like Exodus or Odyssey?
I have played I have the very first one on them.
Odyssey, okay.
Yeah, Odyssey on the PS1 classics, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't play. It's kind of cool. It's something I really need to spend some time in, actually be in the mood to play. But it's a pretty good game.
Yeah, it really is. If I recall this correctly, Lorne Manning, the creator of Oddworld, he did all the voices.
Yeah.
So good on him, and he's an awesome dude. And they are going to be re-releasing Abe's Odyssey. I think that's already out on on PS4 and Xbox One. I think, and they're working on trying to get that out for PS3, Xbox 360, and the Wii U. So I hope they do that real soon. But yeah, Abe's Exodus, I really like that game a whole lot.
Mm.
All right, moving on. Nick, what's your seventh choice?
All right. So here we go again. They're in one of those series, and I was debating because with the Sly Cooper games I played as a kid, as I played through, I went through and I loved the first one, loved the second one, but I have to go with the third one. And that's just because that's where the game really got polished, where it really just shined. The humor was great. The art style, I've always loved the cel shaded, art style. That's why it still holds up, even those versions, PS2 versions hold up really well. The HD remake, remaster looks amazing. But I think Sly 3 has just some of the funnest, gameplay. It's not just, Sly, Bentley, and Murray trying to, because you're trying to get into the Cooper vault. You end up having to recruit other people. So you recruit Dimitri, who is a bad guy in the second game. You end up having to recruit the Panda King, of all people, who was one of the guys that killed Sly's parents and stole the Thievius Raccoonus that you have to go and kick the crap out of in the first game. So then they all have their different, styles. They all have, their different specialties, and it's just one of those games that, it's great. I'll tell you, I definitely think between that and Thieves in Time, the fourth one. And that's just because with Thieves in Time, just the idea that you're going through history and you're meeting up with, Sly's ancestors. it's just great. But I'd say the third one. That's just the the bit of the nostalgia factor for me. Because that was when I played this third Sly game. I'd actually borrowed it from a friend, and it was actually right around I was getting ready to graduate high school. So yeah, so it's one of those last games I had beaten before I graduated high school 6 years ago, 6.5. Can't believe it's been that fucking long. Anyway, yeah, Sly 3.
Awesome. That's I have never played any of the Sly Cooper games, and don't get me wrong, I think they're cool because I love the cel shaded look of these games, and well, it's much like Metal Gear Solid where it's all based on stealth,
Mm-hmm.
but it makes sense because he's a thief.
Right. It's done very well, so definitely, I would definitely pick up the HD collection. Period.
I will definitely have.
With
Will
the
have to.
third game, there's like some 3D, functionality with it, which is weird. So there's like some 3D elements to it. So if you have like on the HD collection, if you have a 3D TV, which I don't know anyone who does.
My folks do, but unfortunately, I'm not in their house anymore. So, damn it. But no, they have a 3D TV. That would have been pretty cool. But yeah, but Sly Cooper collection, especially the Sly 3, definitely I got to give that a try.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Uh, okay. Okay, we're just gonna kind of break the fourth wall here for a moment. Nick, is your recorder still going?
Yep.
Okay, because mine just crapped out on me, so it looks like it says stopped working. I was like, ah, shit. But that's okay. We'll keep carrying on here.
Yep.
God damn, we're really going up the list here. My seventh pick. Again, it's coming out of left field. Now, of course, one of the one game franchise that a lot of gamers are familiar with, as well as movie nerds, is Star Wars.
Mm.
And there's a lot of really great Star Wars games that have come out through the years. I remember when Star Wars Arcade came out. I think that was like the first official Star Wars game ever to been released, and they've just gotten better with each progressing game series. But the one I absolutely love the most, and it's kind of an obscure title. This came out on PC, the Sega CD, and 3DO, and I'm talking about Rebel Assault.
Okay.
Basically, you take the role of the character known as Rookie One. Yeah, as they all were named back then. And you basically are you're you want to be a pilot and a fighter with the rebel force, and you start off with these missions where you're just learning how to fly your aircraft and how to shoot objects, and then right after I think it's like the sixth chapter, that's when all hell breaks loose, and then you're thrust into the universe, and you actually have to start going on all these missions to defeat um, Darth Vader and it's just a lot of really great things. It actually melds a lot of stuff from the first two movies, New Hope and Empire Strikes Back, because they got some levels based on some of the worlds, planets you actually that they actually go to in the movies. And of course, you go to Hoth in this one. You actually defeat you have to defeat the ATST walkers, and that it's a really cool game. It's basically the whole game is made up of cutscenes. It's a full motion video game,
Right.
and it's interactive. Not the same interactive as is like a Dragon's Lair, but you still have to you have to be on target and shoot the TIE fighters and all these other characters. You actually get there's actually some foot missions in this game too, and it's kind of like a rail shooter at that point. Um, the game actually, I recall playing it because I got the game on the Sega CD. The game is very slippery and hard to control. And I think that happened. I think that was like a programming issue that they had with the game because I noticed it did the same thing on the PC as well as the 3DO. So the controls are just you have to really fight with the controls in some parts of the game, but it's still a lot of fun. Voice acting, not too good, but what do you expect? That's like one of the first games that they were trying to do voice acting with, and they actually got their stride later on with other Star Wars games. But this one is actually pretty cool. I still love it playing it today. I got that and Rebel Assault 2, which is on the PlayStation. And I think Rebel Assault 2 is a little bit better of a game, but it doesn't have the same charm as the first one. So yeah, Star Wars Rebel Assault, really cool. But we're going to move right on along to our eighth pick. And Nina, what have you got for your eighth choice?
My eighth. Well, would you mind if I do 8, 9, and 10 in a row?
We might as well because we really need to pick up the pace here.
Yep.
Well, counting down from 8. Well, number 10 is unbeatable, but 8 and 9 could easily be swapped around. They're equal in their ranking. It's a Bioshock, Heavy Rain, and Morrowind. As I talked about Morrowind earlier, so that's no surprise. But in 8th and 9th place, Bioshock and Heavy Rain.
Awesome. I've never played Heavy Rain before, but I think that's one of those that's kind of like a choose your adventure type thing where you actually have to make choices.
Well, it's not choose. It's more what you have to make a choice, and that you're not sure how that choice will affect the rest of the game.
Yeah, because any choices that you make actually they actually affect other characters in the game as well.
And I've played it through once, and I'm still waiting to. Well, I'm giving it a bit of time, so I forget a few things to see because I want to see the other endings because I've only seen one ending.
Yeah, this game is like multiple endings.
Multiple endings. There's like people say the good ending, the evil ending, the kind of neutralish evil, and the kind of neutralish goodish ending, and yeah. So I think it's better if you don't remember, if there's a bit of a gap between plays, so you're not like, okay, last time I chose this, so I'll choose this. It becomes a bit too tactical then, I think. But also, if you're feeling a bit down, don't play Heavy Rain. It's a heavy game. Like, really, high rated for a reason because it is very depressing, but also beautiful because of that. But if you're feeling down, don't play this game to cheer yourself up.
Yeah, definitely. I heard that the game is extremely depressing at times. So, but yeah, those are good choices. Very good choices.
Bit mainstream towards the end.
Oh yeah, and Bioshock. Jeez,
Yeah,
that game is friggin' awesome.
Oh, it's fantastic.
I need to play that.
You got to, man.
Yeah, I know that. Didn't they release Bioshock 1 and 2 together?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
Okay, that's definitely gonna be an option because
Bioshock is the first-person shooter I absolutely fell in love with. Because as you can see from my list, I'm more RPG kind of gal. But I adored Bioshock. Absolutely adored it.
I know. I wanted to try and go through and play the Mass Effect games too.
I want to do that too.
Me too. I haven't played a single one, which I feel.
But they have the Mass Effect trilogy, so I can definitely start from the first one. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so Annina gave us her last three choices.
Yeah,
so
might as well, because we've been talking for about 3 hours. We're probably pushing the 3-hour club on this. All of a sudden, I Got Gameplay has turned into the Rad Rascals. All of a sudden, Ben and Andy have infected the podcast.
Yeah. Maybe it wasn't such a.
It's the tangents.
Yeah. Maybe it wasn't such a good idea to have like 10 games. I thought, no, let's just do 10.
I had like 5.
Yeah. I'm sorry, guys, but that's okay.
Tangent after tangent, but that's how podcasting go.
Exactly.
You live and you learn.
All right. I can't really interchange my number 3 and number 2, and there's going to be obvious reasons, but number 3, I have Ratchet and Clank 2 going commando. And here's the thing, I loved the first one. The first one, Captain Quark was such a fucking asshole. It was such a prick. He ends up he's like, oh, he's this big hero, but he does anything for a quick buck. Oh my god, he's like Hulk Hogan. He's doing whatever. He's like Hogan. He has to do whatever he can to make money. It's all that matters. I mean, Hogan's a shill for the WWE Network now.
Mm.
At least he's not trying to make more sex tapes. Ugh, God. Oh my god. The thing
He
here,
should stop making sex altogether.
Yeah. I did a sexy biscuit thing for Dave, fellow co-host on Slamcast, Lawn Boys Post 1975 on YouTube. Check him out. He's got some great fucking content. But I ended up doing this thing. I decided to do it and just go full Randy Savage. And then the next part, I just go full Hulk Hogan. And I just start ranting. And I got my phone in my hand, and that's how I'm recording it. So I got the Mega Powers in there, and I take shots at Hogan, his sex tape, his Hulkamania thing, him in a thong on a wrecking ball, him being a shill for the network, his alimony payments, just whatever I could. Yeah. But it was funny because Ratchet and Clank 2 was actually the first game I got, the Rhino, the Rip Ya a New One.
Oh yeah.
Because it was a lot easier. You could easily do it in like one go. But it was fun because I had to do it, when I was doing all the trophies for for Ratchet and Clank 1 on the collection. I ended up getting it on that, and and it just played through the game like fucking probably 3-4 times maybe, going through everything to try and freaking get a million bolts. But yeah, that was a side thing. It was funny because when the years we used to record every Saturday night, and for a couple of weeks it was a common thing that we get to games we've been playing. Yeah, I'm playing Ratchet and Clank right now, trying to get that trophy. So yeah. But yeah, like with going commando, I think with that, as much as with 3 was up your arsenal, I liked Dreadlocked. That was a pretty enjoyable game. But I think there was something about 2. It was like how with like with movies, like the sequel is always better. It seems like, and then like the third one doesn't live up to it. There are exceptions. Jackass 3D definitely lived up to the hype. That movie was fucking hilarious, and then Bad Grandpa was. Anyway, tangent. I know we're trying to get through it, but this Ratchet and Clank has always been a great series. It's 3D platformer. The graphics still hold up. PS2 graphics still hold up really well. In all honesty, I know with like Super Mario 64 and those PS1 games, those graphics early 3D don't hold up as well. By the time the PS2 came around, they were a lot more polished. There was a lot more detail in them, and it was just great. That PS2 is a great fucking system. It's amazing it lasts as long as it did. Anyway, but yeah, Ratchet and Clank 2, I definitely go as much as like up your arsenal. There was just something about the way 2 played, in all honesty, that I just have to go with.
All right.
So number 2, I mentioned it earlier, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. I know a lot of people like 3. A lot of people like Vice City. I didn't like, GTA 4 as much. I enjoyed 3. I enjoyed Vice City. I would say I enjoyed Vice City even more just because of the 80s setting. And that's why a lot of people like it. But with San Andreas, it just the whole, parallel with the LA riots. Couple of corrupt. It was basically what happened. The whole Rodney King, police brutality. Those cops ended up getting away scot free, which, well, what's changed now? But with how much of a corrupt asshole Tenpenny and Pulaski are, that just the way Samuel L. Jackson brought that character to life. It's one of those games that is just amazing. I mean, come on, who doesn't love beating the shit out of people with a big purple dildo? Like, you go into the police shower, you find the dildo that you beat the piss out of people with. I know Saints Row 4 had the penetrator, which is a dildo on the bat. And then they have, like, the anal probe weapon. No wonder that game got banned in Australia. Well, and then, of course, they censor South Park Stick of Truth, they censor the fucking, anal probing scene, which is
Oh yeah,
ridiculous.
because Australia is they like to make sure everything is nice and clean.
Yeah.
Although they've now changed how they rate their games, and now
Yeah,
they
and then they still don't even. They got a fucking, and they get those fucking Paul. That country must get a lot of money for banning games to begin with. But anyway, yeah, just the whole story with San Andreas, how big that game is if you think about it. Because you not only you have the three main cities, you have Los Santos, you have San Fierro, and you have Las Venturas. You have just the characters were great in it. The main villains, Tenpin Pulaski, were awesome. You really got that satisfaction when you finally ended them. It was great. There was a lot to do. Like you could depending on how you trained or went to the gym. If you ate like a lot of shit, you could make CJ a fat piece of crap. Or what I would do, I would just make him this big buffed up, just like he could be on roids or something, just big buffed up, don't fuck with me type guy, which is great. But there's always just like the missions were fun. There's one I remember in a construction site where you got to bury a guy in a porta potty. There's just you have like this character's like Woozy who's blind but he can somehow drive and race. You have guys that Hippie the Truth. I mean, it is just fucking amazing, that game. And just like the whole early '90s setting, so you have all in this music, you have all the gangster rap, you have all that just great freaking '90s music.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I did a review on that game, and it's just, I think it's actually my most viewed video on my channel, which is, yeah. But then my number one game of all time, Super Mario Bros. 3. Of course, my top two favorite games of all time. I have multiple copies of Mario 3 on the NES. I have three of them. I have one loose, I have one that's a beat up box and the cart, and then I have a really nice one I bought complete. And actually, I did a video on my channel a couple years ago that the two boxes are different. Like, it's really weird. There's like one that has a screenshot from a level that's not even in the game. That might have been from like a early beta build of it, or it was something like really weird, but and like a different layout in the first world. But yeah, I got a really nice copy of Mario 3. I think I only paid like $25 for, so I didn't pay too much for it, which is nice. But I spent so many hours as a kid playing that game, just trying to beat it. I mean, years it took me to beat this game. And now, I mean, I played it so much, I could beat it fucking in an afternoon, like straight through. It was funny. I tried doing that with Super Mario World, getting all beating all the special worlds, getting all the exits and stuff like that. It took almost 9 hours to do that.
I actually found all 96 levels in Super Mario World. It only takes me like 4 hours to beat the game.
Yeah, it took me like 9. Just trying to find everything, because I'm not as good as Mario World as I am with Mario 3, and of course with that second special world, was it Tubular, the one with the P balloon.
Oh yeah, the special levels. Yeah,
Oh my god. I had, all 99 lives. I had like 99 lives going into that. I lost about 20 trying to beat that stage. No matter how many, I've played through Mario World multiple times between the Game Boy Advance port and the Super Nintendo game. It still takes me forever to beat that stage. It's a fucking pain in the ass. But Mario 3 is just, I mean, it's, a lot of it's a nostalgia factor, but because that game is so well done, it was great because you had, the first Super Mario Bros. That revived the video game industry. You have the US Mario 2, which was completely different, which is a good game in its own right, and then of course I played through the Japanese Mario 2, which is hard as fucking balls. But yeah. But when Mario 3 came out, there was so much in that game. There was the levels, they were all different. The worlds were all unique. The Koopa Kids were, it was a great idea. And it was funny because you don't start off trying to save the princess. You're starting off trying to save the 7 kings of the different worlds. And then you get to World 7 and you're like, oh, wait, here we go. Bowser captured the princess. Now you got to go through the Dark World, and which is hell, I guess you could call it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
How about you, Travis? What's your top 3?
All right, we'll just go through these as best as I can here with the little bit of time we have left. My top for number 3, I have Super Adventure Island. That game is awesome, mostly because it's very cartoony, much like the other games in the series. But like a lot of the Super Nintendo games, the soundtrack is where it's at because it's another one of those games where they use the sound chip in the system beautifully because the soundtrack basically is it's mostly like it's like R&B and some jazz and stuff like that was really popular there in the early 90s. And there's one song on the soundtrack where it's kind of like has a reggae ska sound. It's really good. I love the music in that game. And it's so cool because when you're playing the game and if you pause it, the music keeps going even though the action has stopped. So you can just pause the game and just like have a bit of a dance if you wanted to, or just have your system plugged into a stereo unit and just turn this sucker up full blast. But the game is really cool. I love it. It's one of my absolute favorites. The second one is The Zombies Ate My Neighbors.
Ooh, nice.
That game, I think it's safe to say that game is a cult classic because that game is still pretty well sought to this very day, and of course it's available on the Wii Virtual Console. But that game, just the cartridge itself, fetches pretty good cash there on eBay, or if you're going to a used video game shop. But that game is insane. I mean, it starts off pretty easy, and then as soon as you get, after you beat the first 8 levels, then the game gets increasingly difficult. There's like 50 stages throughout the whole game, and each one just gets harder and harder.
Yeah,
and
there's a lot of stages in that game.
Yeah, and it was developed by LucasArts of all companies, and was published by Konami. Awesome game, I love it. And then my number 1 absolute favorite game, well, at least for this list, because my other list, which you'll hear on Desert Island Games, is my actual definitive list. But for this list here, I chose Sonic CD as my favorite game.
Knew that was going to come somewhere in this list.
Yeah, it's meant because earlier when you mentioned Sonic 2, then we kind of talked about Sonic CD there for a little bit. As I mentioned previously, I have that game in 3 different versions. I have, like I said, I have it on Sega CD, I have it on GameCube, and I also have it on the PSN. And this game basically, your actions, depending on how you play the game, affect the zone that you're in and what kind of future is gonna be for that zone. But it is such an awesome Sonic game. I mean, of all the Sonic games, this one's my absolute favorite. And I've played pretty much all of them, at least the good ones, for that matter. I was sort of disappointed when Sonic Generations came out that did not have a level from Sonic CD in the game at all. I was pretty let down by that.
I will say this about the Sonic games, a lot of the later ones. I enjoyed Sonic Unleashed.
I missed that one.
Now, you can definitely, you can get it cheap now, which is great. But it's one of those games, like, it's weird. It's one of the stranger ones because not only you have the speedy, Sonic levels, but then you have where you turn into the Were-Hedgehog, and it's like a slower, like, beat 'em up. It's such a cool dichotomy, I think. Like, it's so unique. It's just weird to have that in a Sonic game, but I think it works. Because it's just like this different side, because, it's not, actually, he gets, he becomes like a werewolf, werehog.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it's just like kind of fun. It turns and you just start like just beating people up. It's so different, but I enjoyed it. I know a lot of purists say, "Oh no, it's Sonic's supposed to be running fast and be the fastest thing alive." Well, sometimes you got to do something, to break it up. It's different, and sometimes it works.
Yeah, experimenting is, I think, a good thing in the long run.
I mean, it's not like the game was just designed like shit, like Sonic 06. This game was really well done.
It kept all the bestiality nods at bay, basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, I actually missed out on Sonic Unleashed, but of course, I can easily get a copy of that sometime. But yeah, Sonic CD, like I said before, that one is my go-to Sonic game, to say the least. All right, well, three people, each of us with our own lists. Basically, I think each list kind of defines our own personalities, I think. Not a bad thing at all, because it's very, each list was varied in its own rights. So I think, I think we all did a pretty good job on that.
We will not be bored on a desert island.
Exactly. All right. Of course, if the desert island, since it's on a deserted island, there's no electricity, how would we play these games? Hey, whatever. It's just our imaginations and just what we think would be our perfect games. But anyways, enough of that fun stuff. We're going to go ahead and carry on with plugs. So, Annina Kaski, what plugs do you have?
Well, you can follow me on Facebook and Twitter. It's Annina Kaski, Annina Kaski. I should be quite easy to find with such a rare name. At the moment, I'm just working on starting up a YouTube channel. I'm gonna upload some sketches and maybe a web series later on, closer to next year. And on Twitter, I tweet about gaming, random things, and acting. So just have a look. In the future, you shall see loads of things there.
All right, sounds great. And Nick, how about your plugs?
All right. You can find me on YouTube at the Gaming Pegasus 187. You can find me on Twitter at Gaming Pegasus 187. You can find me on Instagram at Pegasus 187. You can find me on Facebook at Nick Horacek. And you can also find me every week on the weekly Wrestling Slamcast with Michael Burhan, who should be back on IGG next week, as he will be back on Slamcast. He's doing his acting thing, and I hope everything works out for him with that, because I also had to, we actually streamed Slamcast, so it was just me, Brandon, and Dave that week. So yeah, every week we talk about wrestling. We have our Iron Sheik tweet of the week. We go on random tangents, and yeah. So
Cool.
I'll do it for me.
All right. Awesome. And then, of course, I'll go ahead and plug my stuff. YouTube.com/rose-colored Let's Play. This past week, my fiance and I have been playing the Lego Movie video game for the Wii U. I'm having lots of fun with that, and it's going to carry on next week, where we're going to have a couple episodes of that. And also, I have 3 episodes of me playing Another World, which is, like I said before, an awesome game. And we're playing. I played the 20th anniversary edition, so it's got cleaner graphics, better sound, and Mike Aruba. Game Grumps. I'm sorry, that's a funny line. Mike Aruba, I love it. But yeah, that's coming up here, and it's going to be recording some other episodes for the coming weeks ahead. And also check me out at youtube.com/rose-colored reviews. I know I haven't done any reviews on that channel for a while. I am so sorry. But I got a lot of things going on, and I promise you guys I'll get you another review here real soon. I'm just trying to figure out what to review. So go check that out anyway. And please, on those YouTube channels, please like, comment, share, subscribe, do all that great stuff that helps me out. And also, if you want to get a hold of me, twitter.com/TravisScott79 is how you can find me. And I'm going to try to be on IGG a lot more, because I've been gone for a long time, but I'm going to try to be on here more frequently. So with all that being said, great episode, everybody. Good job. And go ahead and let's put this baby to bed. So for Annina Kaski and Nick Horacek.
Horacek, yeah.
Horacek, there we go.
Yep.
This is Travis Goss saying, "We've got gameplay. Have you?"